Bryce, his familiar scent surrounding me. He kisses along my neck softly, whispering how much he missed me. I lift up to kiss him lightly when there's an animalistic growl behind me. "Fucking stop it now!" Nate glares at us, but his face softens when I untangle myself and give him a hug. "Nate!" "Seriously, Dev, get used to it." "Babe, don't let him get to you. We have all night to celebrate," he teases, and my brother's face turns red. "Fucker, I already warned you. None of that shit while I'm around." "Come on in." I take Bryce's hand and lead them into my apartment. We order pizza and settle in front of the TV where the guys insist on watching NCAA basketball. Nate only slightly scowls when I curl up next to Bryce on the sofa. Things seem to be going well until Quinn mentions going home on our break in a few weeks. Bryce's body goes stiff under me, and he mutes the television. "I thought you two were going to do something fun." "Plans changed. Quinn's going to drive home. Dean's driving up from Atlanta for part of the week to meet her parents." "What about you?" "I'll stay here. Sure I can find something to do." "Alone?" "Yeah." "Why don't you go home with her?" "My parents will be on that cruise, remember?" "I don't want you here alone. Knoxville's almost 6 hours away if you need me." "I'll be fine." "No, you're coming to our place." "I'll be fine," I repeat. "I agree with Bryce, Devin," Nate states. "This will be a ghost town during spring break. I don't want you here alone." I didn't think it was a good idea to come to Knoxville right now. I think of running into Holly. "That was a dumb decision on my part. Our relationship was new and somewhat fragile. I wanted to protect you in case Holly showed up. I knew how much seeing her would affect you. At this point, it doesn't matter. You know how I feel about you, and hopefully your paths won't cross." Apparently, Holly and Bryce still run into each other, but he made it clear he's in a serious relationship and she backed off. Now when they see each other, it is coincidental. I personally don't believe it's an accident that she is always at the gym, library, or same bars he is, but I don't want to sound petty. "Babe, I would have asked you to come, but I thought you were going somewhere with Quinn." "You've got to be kidding me. You guys talk 40 times a week, and you didn't know her plans changed?" Nate laughs. "It's not entirely his fault. Quinn just decided to go home a few days ago." I look to her for help, but she's snickering and shaking her head. "Regardless, ride with Quinn and she can drop you off at our place." I nod in agreement and lay back on Bryce's chest. Truth is, I didn't want to be alone for the week either, but I was too proud to mention it. The thought of running into Holly doesn't scare me because I do know how Bryce feels about me, but there's a small part of me that knows if I do see her, it will be a reminder of a painful memory. "I love you, Devin," Bryce whispers and kisses my forehead. "You too. And as soon as my brother falls asleep, I plan to show you how much," I murmur. Nate sighs loudly and says, It's going to be a long fucking week. Are they always like this?" "You just wait," Quinn answers. "You ain't seen nothing yet." "Devin, wake up, baby." I moan and bury my face in the pillow. When I feel Bryce pulling off my pajama bottoms, I realize there's probably no more sleeping. "Nate just left for a 5-mile run. We have anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour before he gets back. Quinn left for class. I need to hear you screaming my name." This wakes me up and sends flutters to my stomach. Nate and Bryce have been here for 3 days, and finding time alone has been tough. We've had to be creative, and being quiet has been a challenge. Since Nate is using my bathroom, we can't exactly lock the door at night. The thought of us having the apartment alone is wonderful. My eyes flutter and then snap open. Bryce is braced over me, completely naked. His cock is jetting out hard and thick. Instantly, I'm turned on and take a mental picture to file away. "What did you have in mind?" I tease. His hand slides up my inner thigh until it grazes my slick entrance. If we could, I'd make you come with my fingers, mouth, and then my dick. But I'm a selfish bastard and want you to ride me. I've been dreaming of you straddling me since I left here. If I wasn't already wet, I'm now drenched. Every position with Bryce is good, but when I'm on top, he usually gives me 2 orgasms. Desire takes over, and I push back, rolling him under me. He reaches over to my nightstand and hands me a condom. I roll it on, appreciating the smooth, silky skin and his length. His hands grip my hips, and my hands brace on his tight abdomen as I slide down, taking every inch of him. As soon as he's filled me, I rip my tank top over my head and throw it to the side. His eyes widen and fill with desire. I grin as I begin rocking against him. His hands slide up my body, leaving a trail of goosebumps. When he reaches my tight nipples, he massages them tenderly. I throw my head back, pleasure pouring from my body as he pumps into me from below. Together we find a rhythm that has us both groaning. My core spasms as the first wave of an orgasm hits. When his thumb swipes across my clit, I explode, yelling his name. He jackknifes up, pressing our chests together, and doesn't let me slow down. His hands squeeze my ass as he pounds into me, chasing his own release. Another one, baby girl. Can you give me that? Mm-hmm. He leans back and lowers his head, taking my breast in his mouth. He takes turns with each one, nipping lightly, then licking to erase any sting. His panting grows louder, which makes my already overheated body burn more. I swivel my hips, and he hits my G-spot. Oh my God! I cry out. His thrusts become faster, and when he lifts his face to mine, he's close. I throw my head forward and yell his name again. He groans loudly, and I feel him coming with me. His grip gets tighter as his lips latch onto my shoulder. We sit there holding one another until our heartbeats return to normal. Is sex always this awesome? I ask breathlessly. With us, yes, but that's because it's us. My heart swells, and I smile back at him. It's become common for Bryce to say things like this. He uses the terms mine, forever, and always, almost daily. I never disagree, because if Bryce Randolph wants to have a forever with me, I'm thrilled with it. Babe, I think we should jump in the shower and maybe air out your room. I'm pretty sure it smells like sex, and Nate's not an idiot. So I have to move? Unfortunately. He kisses me quickly, and we break apart. I crack open my windows and join him in the shower, hoping Nate takes his time running today. I want a little more time alone with Bryce before they leave for Norfolk in a few hours. Chapter 12. Driving to Tennessee is a reminder it's been too long since Quinn and I took a road trip. We perfected the art of long-distance driving when we started our college scouting trips. Snacks, playlists, games, and rest areas are all mapped out. No matter where we're going, at the halfway mark we switch drivers so the other can rest, read, or do homework. Even with our usual routine, the drive seems excruciatingly long. It's only been a week since our trip to Virginia Beach, but something weird happened during that weekend. As predicted, it was too cold to go to the actual beach, but we spent the 3 days exploring the boardwalk, visiting the museums, walking through an outdoor festival, and even went to the zoo. While we were at the zoo, Bryce got a call from the leader of his ROTC unit, asking him to come to a meeting when he got back to Knoxville. Usually, this would not be weird, but Nate didn't get the same call. They exchanged a look, but didn't say anything else. Each time I ask about his meeting, he tells me we'll talk about it when I get to his place, so I'm anxious to get there and find out what's going on. You know it'll be fine, right? Quinn states matter-of-factly. She knows how worried I've been. Yeah. Want to play our game to get your mind off things? No, honestly, with the way everything with Bryce is so perfect, it's easy to forget about the loser list. gag. It's official. You've turned into that girl. The girl with the annoyingly perfect boyfriend with stars in her eyes. Isn't it great? I smile at her as she rolls her eyes. There's got to be at least one thing wrong with him. Not to me, I answer dreamily. I've got one. What could you possibly find wrong with him? He's disgustingly head-over-heels pussy-whipped in love with you. Quinn, why is that a bad thing? It's not terrible, but he's lost some of his man appeal. You're such a bitch. Call it like I see it. Well, get my ass to my head-over-heels boyfriend. We laugh, and she turns up the radio and sings to the top of her lungs. After 2 songs, I join in, and we car jam our way into Tennessee. When we finally pull up in front of Bryce and Nate's apartment, my worry from earlier is gone. Bryce meets us outside to help unload our bags. Quinn is staying tonight to break up the trip. When he gets to my side of the car, he picks me up and cradles me in his arms. I start to laugh, but his mouth covers mine and cuts me off. I grip his neck tightly, kissing him passionately back. I'm adding lovesick fool to my list, Quinn shouts. I pull back and wink in her direction. I'll own that title, Bryce laughs. Of course you would. You're so far gone. Quinn, tell me something I don't know, he responds, putting me down and lifting my suitcase before leading me into his apartment. Nate calls and tells us to meet him and a few of their ROTC friends at a sports bar. When we get there, the place is packed and every television set is on a March Madness game. Nate and his friends have pulled several tables together in the back and, by the looks of it, have already polished off a few pitchers of beer. It must be an inside joke between the guys because when I'm introduced as the sister and the girlfriend, they give Bryce a funny look. Being around all the testosterone doesn't change Bryce's attention toward me. He still holds me close to him. Even when we sit down, he drapes his arm around me so I'm nestled into his shoulder. When he gets up to take a call from his parents, Quinn slides into his seat. We're laughing about a commercial when the whole table goes silent. Nate's eyes grow wide across from me. Hey, guys, a sugary sweet voice says from behind, and my stomach drops. I turn around, and Holly is standing with another beautiful woman. Her eyes roam around the table, and when they land on me, darken a bit. She plasters on a fake smile. Nate, your baby sister is visiting. How sweet. No one says anything to her, and the silence becomes awkward. Sweetie, I don't remember your name. There was so much going on when we met. What a bitch. I may not be memorable, but I did send her a condolence card. Quinn nudges my back, forcing me to talk. Devin. My name is Devin, and this is my friend, Quinn. That's right. How are you? I'm doing well, thanks. Bryce didn't mention you visiting Nate when I saw him yesterday. How long are you staying? Her statement causes a few chuckles from the guys at the table. Nate even smirks at me, knowing this girl is humiliating herself. Oddly, I don't feel insecure at her indication she and Bryce talk. As if on cue, Bryce walks back to the table, oblivious to Holly and her friend, and wraps his arms around me from behind. When he kisses my neck, she lets out an anguished cry. He raises his face and squeezes me protectively when he sees her. The scene becomes very uncomfortable, and I see everyone looking around, pretending not to watch what could be the train wreck in front of us. Holly straightens her back and replaces her fake smile. She says hi to Bryce politely, and then makes an excuse to leave the table. She waves goodbye, and I notice her lips tremble slightly. Quinn starts laughing, and the group follows her. That was uncomfortable. Why didn't any of you guys jump in and talk to her? Because if we did, she would take it as an invitation to stick around. We learned our lesson a long time ago. Usually she only approaches us when Bryce is around, but she must have been curious who the 2 girls were sitting here, Nate answers. I personally enjoyed every second. Bryce, you should have seen the look on her face when she wanted to know how long we were staying. Quinn pipes in. You okay? Bryce massages my shoulders gently. Absolutely. Come to the restroom with me. Quinn tugs me out of my chair and pulls me along behind her. She's been afraid of this day for a long time. I yank on her arm to stop her when we get to the hallway. I'm really okay, I confirm. She stares me intently in the eyes, and then her gaze roams over my face. She nods her head in silent approval. Well, I still have to go to the bathroom. She smiles and pushes open the door. What I see next breaks my heart. Holly is leaned into her friend, bawling uncontrollably. Sobs rack her shoulders as she sniffs and moans. Her friend is rubbing her back, trying to console her. Memories of me in that same position cloud my mind, and I back out of the small room quietly, hoping she doesn't know I was there. Quinn follows me back to the table, where everything is back to normal. Suddenly, though, I'm not in the mood to be here. Bryce, can we go? Why? He looks at me worriedly. I'll tell you in the car, but we should leave. He throws some money on the table and we say goodbye to the guys. I take Nate to the side and tell him what I just witnessed. He offers to bring Quinn home later since she wants to stay. When we get in Bryce's truck, I tell him about Holly's breakdown. He blows out a deep breath and lays his head back against the seat. What am I supposed to do, Devin? It's been a long time. What you just saw was exactly what I went through for weeks after we lost the baby. I swear to you, I've never given her any indication there was another chance for us. I believe you, Bryce, but she's in shock right now. You may have told her you were seeing someone, but I'm not sure she knew how serious it was. Knowing it's me, she has to realize this isn't casual. Too much at stake with friendships and families. I don't care for her one bit, and spent many a night in the same position I found her in, but it felt cruel to flaunt in front of her. You're amazing, you know that? Why don't you take me home and show me how amazing I am? I giggle when he peels out of the parking lot, speeding toward his house. Bryce, I say gently, rubbing circles on his bare chest. Before we get out of this bed this morning, you're going to tell me what's been going on. The secrecy is driving me crazy. It wasn't intentional, but everything finally fell into place yesterday. That's why I took the call from my parents last night. What fell into place? I prop on my elbow so I can look at him. Remember when I told you on that airplane that I had been working my ass off? Last fall when I decided to come after you, I started talking to my ROTC leader about plans after OCS. He helped me narrow down the opportunities offered. As you know, there are no guarantees in the Navy, but I was grasping for one. What is it? It was just confirmed, barring any new developments. I'll be stationed in Norfolk after training. Hopefully, my assignment will be stateside mostly. I'm not an idiot. I know I'll have to do some seaside assignments, but I'll be as close to you as possible. Really? I squeal. Yeah, baby. Oh my God, this is so exciting. Glad you approve. What about Nate? No idea. I think he wants to go to San Diego. But that's how he knew I was serious about you. He's known for a while and helped me when he could. Actually, everyone in our families knew my plan except you. I didn't want to see disappointment on your face if it didn't work out. So, after Rhode Island, we'll see each other every week? Yes. Not sure of those details yet, but even if I have to work odd hours and shifts, you can drive over on the weekends after football season. I figured even with summer semesters, you'll be in school at least another 2 years. My excitement bubbles over, and I shriek again loudly, springing on him. He laughs and kisses me. I break free and hop off the bed, tugging on my pajamas. I have to tell Quinn and call my mom. More ammunition for Quinn to bust my balls. Aw, honey, she getting to you? Not one bit. Since you and her are a package deal, I'll be dealing with her shit forever. There's that word again. Forever. Chapter 13. I'm at the pool. Come join me when you get home. I leave the note on the counter and get my things together. Even though I've done the same thing the last few days, I still leave a note. Every day I have breakfast with Bryce and Nate and then go to the pool while they go to class. Usually I'll have my daily call with Quinn and then read for a few hours before they get home. We've gone out a few nights with their friends again, but thankfully no more run-ins with ex-girlfriends. Every night we spend tangled up in each other's arms. I adjust my towel and lay down on my usual lounge chair. As soon as my eyes close, I doze off. The sound of a chair scraping along the deck makes me stir, and when I open my eyes, anxiety fills me. "Hello, Devon," Holly says snidely. Holly. Thought it was time we talk. What would we have to talk about? I decide to ignore her, hoping she'll go away. My eyes close again and I soak in the sun. No such luck. Just for my protection, I punch a few buttons on my phone and decide to record this. How long? Ignore her. I asked, how long? How long have you been seeing each other? Her voice is borderline screaming. Ignore her. I asked you a fucking question, you little man-thieving whore. This gets a reaction. I whip my head up and give her an evil glare. First of all, there was no thieving at all. Secondly, it's none of your fucking business. Bryce and I are not your concern. That's where you're wrong, little girl. Bryce and I have a history, one you can never compete with. My heart races and anger flows through my veins. I'm starting to regret my decision to protect her feelings the other night. From what I understand, your history is filled with painful and manipulative memories. I'll never speak for Bryce, but you and I know he was never going to marry you. You used your unborn child together to try to trap him. I'm not competing for anything. You are not my competition. As a matter of fact, you're nothing. A guy like Bryce has certain needs I doubt you can fill. Holly, you're embarrassing yourself here. Being petty and childish isn't a good attitude for you. You should run along. Not until I get my answers. Honestly, let it go. How fucking long has this been going on? She wants to know. Might as well tell her the truth, even if it devastates her. We've officially been together since around Christmas. That's it? Relief washes over her face. That's nothing. What a bitch. Enough being nice. Holly, I wouldn't be so smug. His plan to pursue me started way before we actually got together. It was he who chased me down and begged my forgiveness and a second chance. Every day he shows me how much he loves me. He's gone to great lengths to make sure he gets stationed in Virginia until I finish school. So if you think us being together a short time is an advantage to you, it's not. Bryce and I have a history and a future that no one can compare to, especially not you. You're delusional if you think he loves you. What in the world do you have to offer him? You're still a girl. Her shit is getting old. I get up and gather my stuff, ready to leave. I think he'd disagree. But to answer your one last question, what do I have to offer him? Forever. According to Bryce, I'm his forever. In my mind, that includes wedding vows and kids, a life filled with love, happiness, and health. No, she whispers, and her bottom lip starts to tremble. Tears fall down her cheeks and she starts shaking. I felt sorry for you in the bar when I saw how upset you were at discovering Bryce and I are together, but now there's no sympathy. Suck it up, move on, and leave my boyfriend alone. How can you be so callous? We went through so much. Bryce lost a child. He was sad, he felt guilty, he grieved that child. It's unfortunate your casual relationship caused an accidental pregnancy. It's terrible that baby didn't make it. I'm sorry for that loss, but Bryce took care of you out of kindness and a sense of obligation. You put him through so much. I walk away and don't look back. Her sobs can be heard all the way around the corner. I don't know how Bryce put up with that for as long as he did. Graduation will be here before we know it. Then I'm taking you away for a week. You pick. Somewhere tropical. Sun, sand, beaches, boats, all of it. I don't speak, just nod against him. My body and mind are both in denial of leaving. When we sat down last night and looked at our calendars and schedules, we discovered there were no free weekends between now and his graduation for us to travel. My heart physically hurt at the thought of not seeing him for 6 weeks again. The tears started almost immediately, and he took me to bed. We didn't even get up to eat dinner. This morning I promised to make our last few hours together happy. We went to Nate's favorite deli for breakfast, and all three of us took a walk around the campus. Now that Bryce's plans after training are out in the open, Nate and I discuss his future. He swears he's not partial, but I secretly agree with Bryce. He wants San Diego. Now Quinn is 5 minutes away, and the harsh reality of leaving hits me again. Devon, did you understand me? Yes, I need to pick a place and you'll get us there, because after that you'll be gone for 12 weeks. Emotions clog my throat. Please don't cry. He cradles my face in his hands. I love you so much, and if you leave here crying, it'll cripple me. I plaster on a smile and kiss him quickly. No more. This has been an amazing week. Want to play your game? That's really a Quinn and Devon game. Make an exception. Tell me about Bryce Randolph. Well, he hasn't really made the loser list yet. I joke and giggle. He probably won't either. He does this thing with his tongue that makes my toes curl. Just last night, I swear I felt him in my throat when he took me from behind. Jesus, Devon, I'm hard now. Better get acquainted with your hand, then. I know I will. Not helping. The thought of you touching yourself is a huge fucking dream. We still have our iPad dates at night. Maybe we can make that happen. Be quiet. Here comes your brother. He turns us so I'm leaning into him, covering his body. Quinn drives up, honking even though she sees us waiting. Nate pulls me into a tight hug, then loads my suitcase. Bryce claims my mouth once more, crushing his lips to mine. The kiss turns hot, and I have to break away to breathe. I love you. I love you, too. We have 6 hours ahead of us. Let's ride, love bug, Quinn shouts. I get in the car and wave until we turn the corner. Who starts? I'll start. I get my phone and play her the recording of my confrontation with Holly. Holy shit, that's good. I've been dying to hear it. Yeah, well, I've about played it out. Nate and Bryce listened to it like 20 times. Bryce still wants to chase her down and cuss her out, but I've convinced him otherwise. Do I want to know how you did that? Nope, but I got just as much pleasure out of it. Gross! She pretends to gag. I can't help that I love sex now. Why did you not tell me what I was missing out on? I didn't want to brag when your one and only time was so shitty. Then to find out you didn't actually do it? Well, there are just no words. True that. Tell me about everything I don't already know about, the good stuff. Well, my parents drove me crazy but acted normal when Dean arrived. They loved him. He's going to try and fly up in a few weeks. Wow. Snoozeville. That's all you got? She shrugs her shoulders, but the smile creeping on her lips gives her away. Let's just say that you're not the only one getting laid anymore. Woohoo! Give me PG-rated deets. I now know the difference between sex with a boy and sex with a man, and no matter what, I'm never going back. Sounds serious. I think so. We'll see. Hey, do you think Nate or Bryce could get me 2 tickets to the graduation and ROTC ceremonies? Yeah, but why? Won't you be bored as hell? I'm obligated to go. Well, I thought Dean could drive up and meet me and we could spend the weekend together. I want to be there, okay? Nate and Bryce are like brothers to me. Okay, if you say so. Something seems odd. Who would willingly sit through hours of boredom? Chapter 14. Whoever coined the term time flies has obviously never been in love and separated by long distance. A part of me believed Bryce would find a way to get to Virginia to surprise me, but it didn't happen. With our schedules, it was also extremely hard to talk as often as we liked. One highlight in the 6 weeks since I left Knoxville is the Holly situation was completely taken care of. She approached Bryce one night while he was working, which was a big mistake. He was still furious with her and basically cussed her out. Even though I wanted explicit details, he resorted to man details. Basically, he told her she was a bitch for approaching me and needed to get over him. His vocabulary was extremely colorful, with words like cunt, useless shit, and fucking crazy. I shouldn't have been so happy he was mean to her, but I was delighted. I decided I wanted to spend a week in Destin for our vacation. He found us a cottage on the beach, and we leave the day after his UT commencement. Quinn called him, begging to come along, but he shut her down quick. She pouted for a day or so, but then pledged revenge one day. My legs shake nervously when we drive up to the guy's apartment. As usual, Bryce is outside waiting on me. The car isn't fully stopped when I hop out and run to him. As soon as I jump in his arms, I feel whole again. His scent envelops me, and I wrap my legs around him, holding him as close as possible. His lips run a trail down my neck and across my chin until he finds my mouth. I breathe in deep, drawing air from him. He breaks away too soon and looks at me sadly. Babe, Karen and Steve are already here. Your dad's having a really hard time with the fact you're staying here and already gave me a lecture. Not sure how he'll handle me mauling you in daylight. Does that mean you will maul me in moonlight? I tease. Oh, yeah. You can count on it. I loosen my legs and stand up dizzily. He steadies me and laughs. Quinn walks up and shoves her bag at him. If you aren't going to take me on vacation, you can at least carry my bag. He rolls his eyes and goes to the car to get my things. She and I walk in and immediately are surrounded by my family. My dad holds me extra long, and when I pull back, he looks happy and sad at the same time. My mom tears up. What the hell, guys? I just saw you in February, I question. Baby, my son's graduating from college tomorrow. Give me a break. I'm a little emotional, she says. Whatever. I shrug and embrace my brother, who keeps shaking his head. Sheila and Dave come in, and we repeat the whole routine. Sheila sheds a few tears, too, when she lets go of Bryce. He rolls his eyes and pulls me to his side. We choose a restaurant nearby and leave for an early dinner. All throughout our meal, Bryce holds my hand firmly. Quinn and I keep everyone entertained with stories of the last semester. The story of our exhibit is a huge conversation grabber. We should know in the next week about the program we applied to and if we'll get to go away this summer. My mom keeps looking my way and smiling widely. Finally, I give her the signal to follow me and go to the restroom. When we get inside, I check under the stalls to make sure we're alone. What the hell is going on? I question her. You're back. All of you is back. The joking, vibrant, joyful Devon is back. I agree, Quinn says from behind me, joining us. I am happy. So happy. I'm waiting for the world to throw me a curveball. Honey, don't think like that. Just enjoy it. I nod my head in agreement and she pulls me to her. Quinn joins our embrace and tears sting my eyes. Okay, now that we've established this, can you quit looking at me funny? I ask my mom. Yep, officially done. We all go back to the table and our dinner is waiting. Bryce grabs my hand again and winks at me. Something inside tells me he knows what we were talking about. When we leave the restaurant, all the parents go to their hotels and we make plans to meet tomorrow for a late lunch before the ROTC ceremony at 3. Quinn is staying with me at the apartment until Dean arrives tomorrow, and they move into a hotel room for the rest of the weekend. As soon as we get into the apartment, I say goodnight and go to Bryce's shower. Quinn comes in and talks nonstop the whole time I'm bathing, which annoys the shit out of me. You know Bryce won't come in here and join me if you're here, right? I hiss. Her laughter howls, and I poke my head out to see her rolling on the floor. What? Nate paid me to come in and talk until you are done. And you took it? Yep. He's trying to talk Bryce into letting me come to Destin, so it's a fair deal. You are a bitch. I've been celibate for 6 weeks. My body is crying for relief. Why would you do that? Oh, please, I hear you moaning in your room. I know you're not exactly frustrated. It's not the same. I slam the shower curtain back in place and finish my shower quickly. When I'm done, I slip into my pajamas and head to the living room to find my boyfriend. He and Nate are watching the news, and he looks as miserable as I am. Nate, I promise to get you back one day. Devin, there are some things brothers and sisters should never know about. Sex is one. I can't ignore how tight Bryce is wound, but I did not want to hear it when we walked in the door, so I took my own drastic measures. Bryce gives him an evil look but slaps him on the back. Thanks, man. But can I go to bed with my girl now? Fucking A. Nate stands and grabs the sheets to set up Quinn's bed on the sofa. He mumbles the whole time, and I grin as I follow Bryce to his room. He takes a shower, and I crawl in bed to read while I wait. When he comes out in his pajama pants, I look at him confused. You have on too many clothes, I state. He climbs in and pulls me to him. Then, nothing. No kissing, no touching, no licking, nothing. What's wrong? He blows out a breath and looks at me apologetically. I just want to hold you. There's a lot on my mind. Like? Like how the next 2 days are a big fucking deal. In the next few days, I have to say goodbye to some of my closest friends, and I join the service full-time. Like how nervous I am about the speech at the ceremony, and how I finally feel like my heart can beat again now that you're here. I'm such a bitch. None of this has crossed my mind. And I'm ashamed of not being supportive. I nod and curl up on him, trying to tamper the need in my body. You'll do great tomorrow, and I'll be there cheering for you. Do you want to talk about anything specific? No, I just want to fall asleep with my girl on me and dream about the beach next week. I love you so much. That's what I'm counting on, Devin. Forever. If my mom cries one more time, I'm going to scream. Since meeting at lunch and seeing the guys in their uniforms, she has been a wet mess. Even Quinn told her to get a grip. Dean arrived, and I apologized for my parents' odd behavior. If this is how they act for Nate, I'm thinking of skipping my own graduation, maybe both of them. We're already late, and I'm worried about getting a seat together. Bryce has been stoic all day, and if I don't get a good seat, I'm scared he'll blow. He joked around a little with Nate at lunch, but otherwise he's been quiet. The auditorium is packed when we finally walk in, and I swear we're the last ones here. I rush my parents forward and make sure Quinn is sitting next to me. Since we're so late, there are only a few programs left, and I flip through to see the order of the service. Bryce speaks right in the middle. When the music starts and the men file in, my eyes fill with tears. A hand lands on my shoulder and I look back to see Sheila crying openly. Quinn even sniffs a few times. Dean puts his arm around her shoulder for comfort. The ceremony itself is quite spectacular. It's a homage to not only the military, but also the men and women's accomplishments in college. Bryce's speech is flawless, and he locks eyes with me several times, which sends a chill through my body. When he and Nate actually are recognized, our group cheers so loudly they give us the hand signal to calm down. When it's all over and the students are dismissed, the room erupts. People file down to the floor of the small auditorium to find their loved ones. We bustle through the crowd, and I get to Nate first. He picks me up, and I scream into his shoulder how proud I am. Tomorrow may actually be his college graduation, but today is what means the most. It defines his future. My mom pushes me out of the way when he sets me down, and I look around for Bryce. Sheila and Dave have him in an embrace, and my breath hitches at the sight. He looks around, and when his eyes lock with mine, he lets them go and stalks to me. I leap into his arms and let him spin me, holding on tight. When he sets me down, his eyes are determined and heated. He kisses me lightly and surprises me by dropping down to one knee. The instant he hits the ground, several men around us do the same. The women in uniform stiffen and gain stance. I look around, and my family surrounds me as Sheila and Dave flank Bryce's back. Everyone stares between the two of us.
Devin Marie Harris. I asked you a few months ago to give me a chance, to come back to me, the girl I once knew. I hurt you deeply, and I'll never be able to take that away, but I vow to always let you know how much you mean to me. The girl I learned to love as a boy has turned into the woman I love as a man. My days are brighter because you're in my life. Will you promise to love me forever and marry me?
Somehow, through my tears, I see him pull a box out of his pocket. There's a glare that cascades with the light streaming in the windows. My knees go weak, but tiny hands hold my waist. Quinn. Yes, I say meekly, and then gain my voice. Yes! Oh my God, yes! Cheers explode around us, and Bryce sinks into my waist, squeezing me so hard I may have bruises. My mom screams behind me, and my dad whistles. I look slightly to the side and see Nate on his knees with wet eyes. I cry even harder.
Jesus Christ, I'm a lucky bastard,
Bryce whispers in my ears and takes my lips softly. I get wrapped up in the kiss until I feel the metal on my finger. I break away and look at the antique ring I admired for years on Sheila's hand. Is this?
Yeah, it's my grandma's ring,
he confirms. And I have a fresh set of waterworks. It's an antique dinner ring with a diamond set in rubies, which is Bryce's birthstone. Quinn pulls me away and hugs me tightly, crying with me into my shoulder. When our eyes meet, she doesn't look surprised. You knew? I question. Absolutely. Do you think he was brave enough to do this without talking to me? I look around and everyone has the same expression. You all knew? Heads nod and smiles break out on their faces. Everyone swamps me in hugs, and I lean into my dad the longest. When he steps back, Nate takes his place.
I had to make sure it was okay, babe. You are only 19.
Bryce kisses my hair and pulls me away. Almost 20, but still. How did you get my dad to approve?
I promised him we'd wait to actually get married after you graduate. Just didn't mention which graduation.
He smiles slyly. I can't believe this. We're getting married, me and you.
Always.
He lifts me up again, but doesn't kiss me. Instead, he braces me over his head, and my hands rest on his shoulders. Flashes go off around us, and I lose myself in the moment. My fairy tale may just come through. Epilogue.
Again,
Bryce demands as he glides in and out of me. I feel every inch of him hitting my sensitive flesh since he just gave me an earth-shattering orgasm 2 minutes ago. Yours forever, I repeat for the 100th time since he proposed. He takes his time, building me up, and I allow myself to feel the beauty of him. We got rid of the condom on the first night in Destin. He knew I was on birth control, but still insisted on condoms for extra protection. Once we hit the door to our cottage, he took me hard and fast, and we both never looked back. He picks up speed, driving into me with purpose, and we moan at the same time. His mouth claims mine as he swivels his hips until I turn my head away, gasping. When our eyes meet, I push up into him and he lets go, taking me with him as we both yell out. His sweaty, hot body falls on top of me, and I hold him close. The surf crashes against the sand in the background, and I see the light starting to peek through the window. Seagulls fly through the air squawking, and the sea breeze flies in the open windows of our room. The 2 days we have been in Destin have been spent mostly in bed, reconnecting and celebrating. We've only left the room for showers, food, or bathroom breaks. I'm not sure we'll even make it to the beach today. It was a whirlwind of activity after we got engaged. My mom arranged for food to be delivered to Bryce and Nate's apartment, and we all celebrated the entire night. That evening, all the secrets came out. According to Bryce, once he knew I was truly back to myself and let the darkness go from what happened, he started making plans. He talked to his parents first, then Nate. My brother told Quinn she needed to be at graduation, but gave her very few details until my parents knew what was going on. She suspected, but promised to be quiet. Bryce planned the elaborate proposal with the help of his ROTC class, and then told my parents everything. My mom jumped for joy. My dad was harder to convince. Once Bryce promised to wait until I graduate, he relented. Even though we are young, no one gave Bryce any flack because they all know. We are perfect together. He makes me happy. Once we finally jumped our hurdles, he held my heart forever. I also learned it wasn't his ROTC speech he was nervous about our first night together after 6 long weeks. It was his proposal speech, and the elaborate display by his classmates. Apparently all the guys dropping to their knees was a sign of respect for him. This is not really a common practice, but one of the guys told him about it happening before in a similar situation, and they decided to copy it. He and Nate's actual graduation was boring, as suspected, but my mom and Sheila still cried. Quinn opted to skip it and stayed locked away in a hotel with Dean, which I was jealous of. They came out to dinner to celebrate, but didn't hang out afterwards. Dean fits into our group well. He's hilarious. Maybe it was my euphoric endorphins, but I could see he and Quinn with a future. I'm not going to lie. The highlight of my day on Bryce's actual graduation was when Holly showed her pathetic face. She zoned in on Sheila and Dave and hugged them tightly. They hugged her back uncomfortably. When she saw me, I didn't move, but when she saw the sparkling diamonds and ring, her face paled and she stuttered her congratulations. I didn't flaunt it at all, but a sense of satisfaction overwhelmed me.
Baby, if you're thinking again, I obviously didn't do that right. Bryce interrupts my thoughts, and I bite softly on his shoulder.
I was thinking, but it was all good. You think we might actually see the beach today?
Yeah, babe, let's shower and eat. Then I'll take my gorgeous fiancé to the beach.
I love the sound of that. He stays silent. Don't you?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I'll like the sound of my gorgeous wife better.
We get out of bed and head to the shower, and my phone starts ringing. I ignore Quinn's tone and walk into the hot water with Bryce, rubbing my body against his. The shower takes longer than expected, and when we finally get our suits on and are ready for the beach, I have 5 missed calls and a slew of text messages. I decide to check the texts first. Quinn: Bitch, check your email. We were both accepted to the summer program. You have to call me soon. Me: I just got out of shower. BRB. Quinn: You may want to lay Bryce down. This isn't good, but it's amazing for our futures. My stomach drops, and I sit on the arm of the sofa. Me. Tell me. Quinn. No, open the email. I scroll through my email and find the message I'm looking for. The opening is pretty generic, congratulating me on acceptance and telling me the details, including the financials and credits received. It's not until I get to the location that my heart stops. The description of the project is outlined, and my enthusiasm starts to rise. I see myself in this environment and bringing the stories for my future projects. No one is going to support this. My parents are going to have a fit, and Nate will forbid. But I don't care. My enthusiasm tampers down any anxiety. I text Quinn immediately. Me. I'm in. You? Quinn. No doubt, but only with you. Talk to your fiancé first. Not confirming until you have his approval. Me. I'll be fine.
Are you done yet?
Bryce snips my neck and stands in front of me in his swimsuit and nothing else. His chiseled chest makes me lick my lips, and I almost forget my news. I got accepted to the programs I applied for. I wave my phone, and he takes it. As he scrolls through the message, his expression goes from excited to shocked when he finishes and hands my phone back. His stance gets solid, and he crosses his arms over his chest.
No way. Absolutely not. You are not going to Israel. You think I'm going to let my fiancé travel to a country in absolute chaos?
I think you need to calm down. I'll be with a guided troop, and we'll be fine. It says in the email that we have designated families to interview.
I'm not letting the love of my life go willingly into the Middle East. No, over my dead fucking body.
My mind rages. There's no way I'm giving up this opportunity. He may think he's dealing with the sweet and sassy Devon, but he's wrong. This is a chance that could shape my future. I may love this man with all my heart, but I'm going to Israel, with or without his support. Game on. Staying on Course. Collision Course Duet, Part 2. Chapter 1. As soon as we drive into my parents' neighborhood, I start to fidget. It's been 5 days since we've spoken because I've purposely avoided their calls. Exactly like Bryce, they freaked out when I told them about the trip to Israel. And as expected, Nate called me within 10 minutes of hanging up with them and went batshit crazy. His exact words were, "I absolutely positively fucking forbid you to participate in this summer program." I listened to all of them lecture me on the danger involved until I finally had enough. We agreed to drop the subject for the rest of my vacation. Then I'd sit down and logically discuss the pros and cons of the program. This seemed to appease them because they thought I'd given in, but in reality, I'd only delayed the inevitable rip-roaring argument that was bound to happen. I replay that morning in my mind and wonder again if I'm being selfish. Bryce paced the room and alternated between running his hands through his short hair and shaking his head. After 5 minutes, he finally looked at me, and my heart hurt. His eyes were glassy and his expression pained. He knew what photojournalism meant to me, and subsequently the subject matter of social and cultural issues. And I knew in that moment he was going to try to talk me out of it, but in the end, he'd support my decision. "Bryce, can we put this aside for the rest of the week and enjoy the beach?" I asked softly. He came to me and cupped my cheek.
"Hear me out, and then we'll drop it until we get back to Nashville."
I nodded and stepped into his chest, wrapping my arms around his waist.
"I'm feeling every bit of fear and anxiety that your parents are. Even in a sanctioned environment, this is not a safe location right now. But it's more than that. I can't stand the thought of anything happening to you. It would absolutely kill me, Devon. And finally have you in my life in the way that was meant to be. We have a future, something I've dreamed about since you kissed me the night of my graduation." I've already told you how I felt the 1.5 years we were apart. Now, I have everything. I mean everything coming together. If something happened to you, I wouldn't survive.
Tears pooled in my eyes as I looked up and felt his pain. I'll be safe, promise.
You're going to go anyway, aren't you?
Can we talk about it later? I'll email my professor and tell him I need to think it through. Quinn will do the same. We can both give him our answers sometime next week. It's an amazing experience to turn down. Don't make me feel selfish for wanting this. There was an inner turmoil in his expression until he finally grinned and leaned down to kiss me briefly.
Wouldn't want my fiancé to feel selfish. We're officially dropping the subject until I have backup to talk some sense into you.
It was on the tip of my tongue to argue about siding with my parents, but I decided to take the reprieve and save my logic for the whole firing squad. Most likely the same firing squad that would be waiting in my parents' living room the minute we got home. Bryce went to get our stuff ready for the beach, and I took advantage of the privacy to call Quinn. She wasn't surprised at everyone's reactions because she was receiving the same from her parents and Dean. We made a quick plan, which included her doing massive research while I frolicked on the beach with my fiancé. Her suggestion was to fuck his brains out until he was too tired to argue. I liked her idea. Bryce reaches over and squeezes my knee before linking his fingers through mine.
You nervous?
His smooth voice breaks me out of my trance.
Yes. I can tell. Your hand is sweating. Relax, Devon. Things will be fine.
My eyes grow wide as I stare at him in disbelief. I was prepared for him to pounce the minute we drove into the city. His relaxed attitude is throwing me off. Fine? Do you know what I'm probably walking into? We are walking into? I know you may not like my decision to go to Israel, but I expect you to respect it, especially with my parents about to go berserk. Nate, too. He may be your best friend, but I'm going to be your wife, and we need to establish boundaries right now. He's always been protective, but he forbid.
Devon, take a breath, he interrupts. It's going to be fine. We're not walking into an ambush. I've already had a discussion with Nate. He's not going to get in your face about this. Tonight is about our homecoming and figuring out our schedule. We'll worry about the rest later.
I blink hard and shake my head to make sure I'm not asleep and imagining this. Bryce may be a master at conflict resolution, but there's no way he's going to calm my family. I'd bet my car that they've been stewing over this since we hung up the telephone. By now, my mom's likely planned a way to force me home for the summer so she can watch my every move. Baby, are you insane?
Yes, insane about you. And I put my foot down. Told Nate to get everyone's shit together and let us have a nice night. Tomorrow we can work through the details and the discussions. They agreed.
My shoulders relax as I lean over and kiss him on the cheek. And that is why I love you so much, Mr. Randolph. He smiles and turns into my parents' driveway. I giggle when I spot Quinn's car in the mix. She texted this morning and promised we were prepared to argue like professionals when our families tried to shut down our trip. As soon as the car is stopped, the front door flies open and Quinn comes barreling out, running directly to me. Before I can speak, she squeezes me until the air leaves my lungs. No mention of Israel. Bryce said they're leaving alone tonight. We're safe, I wheeze, trying to breathe. She steps away and scans my face. Then she breaks out in a wide smile and kisses my cheek loudly. Glad you're home.
Hey, Quinn, how's it going?
Bryce comes around the car and smirks at her. Very funny, lover boy. I'm still mad at you for leaving me behind, she huffs, crossing her arms.
Believe me, this was not a trip for mixed company.
He wiggles his eyebrows and she fakes gagging. Bryce wraps his arm around my shoulders and leads us to the house.
About time you guys got here. I'm starving, Nate yells when we walk in.
My dad pulls me into a hug while shaking Bryce's hand. Bryce's parents, Sheila and Dave, greet us next in the same way. I slip away when I spot Quinn's parents, Michelle and Paul, standing in the middle of the room, smiling. I rush to them and throw my arms around their shoulders. "What are y'all doing here?" "You don't think we'd miss your engagement celebration, do you?" Michelle smiles warmly. "What are you talking about?" I turn and look around the room. My jaw drops. There's a congratulations banner hanging on the fireplace and several pictures of Bryce and me on the mantel. I look past everyone's smiling faces, and when my eyes land on Bryce, his lips twitch, then curl in a smug grin. "You knew about this?" I question him.
"I may have."
"You didn't think to tell me?"
"Why would I do that? It was a surprise."
I catch Quinn's smirk and narrow my eyes at her. "You should have warned me." I wave my hand down my body in disgust. "I'm in cut-off shorts and a tank top." She shrugs, completely uncaring. "You look absolutely fine, and besides, this is casual and all family." My mom comes to me and tucks my hair behind my ear. "We didn't really get to celebrate your actual engagement last week. The guy's graduation was the focus. So Sheila and I decided we wanted to celebrate the right way. Tonight is all about you and Bryce." I look at Sheila, Bryce's mom, and my throat clogs with emotion when our eyes lock. She's beaming. There are so many arguments running through my head because in my mind we did celebrate last week, but the only thing I can say is a quiet, "Thank you." Mom nods, clearly hearing the emotions in my voice. Bryce comes to my side and puts an arm around my waist, kissing my temple. His blue eyes sparkle with happiness.
"Forgive me?" he asks playfully.
"Yes, but only because this is the type of surprise that includes champagne."
"Noted."
"Bryce, you have had her to yourself for an entire week. Think you can share for a few hours?" Quinn says sarcastically. He scowls at her until they both burst into laughter. A second later, everyone joins in, and champagne is served. The dread I felt in the car is forgotten. "Do we have any idea of the travel schedule yet?" I ask Quinn as we clean the kitchen. It's the first time since I got home that we've been alone. "Professor Grant will be leading the program. He won't tell us who, but he's supposedly spoken to a few well-known journalists with Fox, NBC, and ABC who will be joining us. The group is scheduled to leave around the 1st of June. Once we officially accept, he'll send us more information, including vaccination forms." I nod and look around the corner to make sure no one's coming, then turn back. "How did you get your parents off your back? I was only able to because I was 2 states away." "Told them we'd discuss it when you got back. They know we do this together. Even though Bryce said tonight was safe, I suspect our mothers are currently figuring out a way to bring it up."
"Bring what up?" Bryce walks in with Nate following.
"Nothing, lover boy. We're just catching up." He hands me my phone and slides an arm around my shoulders.
"Babe, your email is going crazy. May want to check it."
"I'll take care of it after you leave. Don't want to be rude." He gives me a sideways glance and raises his eyebrows in question.
"Where am I going?"
"Don't you have to go home?"
"I guess, if you'd prefer to stay at my parents' place, we could, but it may hurt Karen's feelings."
"What are you talking about?" It's my turn to be confused.
"I figured we'd stay here a few days until we leave for Knoxville."
"Stay here together? In my parents' house? With them here?" Quinn giggles while Nate looks at me like I'm an idiot.
"Yes, babe. I talked to our parents. We did just return from a week away together. Not to mention being engaged takes us to a new status level."
"And my dad agreed to this?" I question in disbelief. Sure, my mom is pretty liberal, but Dad is
having a heart attack, Nate tells us. But Bryce can be pretty convincing.
I I'd really like to know how in the hell you pulled that off. I glare at Bryce, who's grinning cockily.
I did have to promise to keep my hands to myself.
He leans in and whispers. Well, I guess I won't be staying over tonight. Thanks a lot, Quinn pouts. He doesn't seem to care and ignores her completely. My phone dings again with an email. I open it and bite my lip nervously. It's been such a terrific night, I hate to ruin it. Quinn slides next to me, pushing Bryce to the side. She reads over my shoulder, and we share a quick glance.
Who's trying to get a hold of you?
Bryce questions, stepping behind me and kissing my head lightly. It's Professor Grant. He scheduled a video conference in 2 days to discuss the summer expo.
That'll work out great since we leave for Knoxville the next day.
He says it so casually that both mine and Quinn's heads snap up. There is no sign of anxiety or worry at all on his face. Even Nate nods and then walks out of the kitchen. For a group of people adamantly opposed to this trip less than a week ago, it's eerily calm. Something's going on. Chapter 2. Bryce runs his lips lightly across my shoulder, and I smile into my pillow.
Time to get up, beautiful,
he mumbles against my skin. What time is it?
Almost 9. I'm about to leave, and you have that call soon.
I open my eyes and sigh when I see Bryce already dressed in his workout clothes. Why are you dressed?
Because I promised your dad I'd behave while we slept in his home. When I woke up this morning, my dick was harder than fucking steel, and it was best for me to get up before I lost the battle raging in my head to ravage you.
That sounds really fun. I run my fingers up his arms.
Stop, babe. We'll be in Knoxville tomorrow night.
But Nate will be there, I whine.
Nate will go out with the guys, have a few beers, and maybe even pick up his own woman.
I scrunch my nose. Let's not discuss that ever again. Bryce chuckles, then tugs me into his chest.
He's waiting downstairs. I need to go. We're doing a 6-mile run and then a full workout. I'll be back in a few hours. Tonight we're doing dinner with my parents.
Did you say 6 miles?
Yeah.
He leans back and looks at me.
Devin, part of my training in officer candidate school is physical. I've got to catch up. We took a week off, remember?
I thought we got pretty physical. I kiss the underside of his jaw and feel it tighten.
Jesus. I'm going to need another cold shower.
Fine. I turn away from him and smile sweetly. I can wait until tomorrow, but I want to give you something to think about. Without warning, I run my hand down his stomach and into the waistband of his shorts. Once I hit his erection, I rub my thumb across the tip gently. Love you, Bryce, I whisper, and pull back, rolling off the bed. He exhales loudly and stares at the ceiling.
This is my punishment. Falling madly in love with my best friend's sister means I can't fuck the shit out of her like I want to for the next 4 days without threat of an ass-kicking.
We'll figure something out, or we'll get creative. He stands up and pulls me flush against him.
Kiss me.
I slap my hand over my mouth. Need to brush my teeth, I mutter through my fingers. His eyes darken and he gently lowers my hand away. His soft lips rub back and forth across mine lightly. I melt into him and squeeze his hips.
Do me a favor,
he whispers between pecks.
Talk to your mom today, and let her know we're going to stay with my parents when we get back from Knoxville. Mom wants us there some before we both leave. You need to prepare Karen.
I'll take care of it. She'll understand. He kisses me again and steps back, turning to leave. I stare at the perfect form of his ass in the black mesh running shorts and lick my lips, tasting him.
Devin, he groans, stop looking at me like that.
I shrug and wink, then turn to my bathroom. Love you. Have fun.
Love you too. Let me know what happens.
I take my time getting ready and set up my computer, testing the link Professor Grant emailed everyone. Is it safe to come in? Quinn yells through my door as she knocks loudly. Yes, you idiot. I swing it open and scowl at her. Bryce isn't even here. I know. Just wanted to tease you. She throws her purse on my dresser and crawls onto my bed, making herself comfortable. Since we haven't had 1 second alone since you got fucking engaged, please tell me we're doing something fun after we're done with this. It's only been a week and a few days. I thought we'd go shopping. We'll probably need some special gear and digital devices, not to mention we'll need to find a way to get our phones to work overseas. Ooh, who's the serious, organized one today? I was thinking more along the lines of pedicures. Quinn, this is serious. Bitch, remember the research I did? I know more about the history of Israel than probably anyone in our group. It still pisses me off that our parents didn't even blink an eye. After the shitfits they gave us, I was prepared for much more than a simple, we're dealing with it. I sit next to her and position the computer so we can both see easily. No doubt. It surprised the shit out of me, too. I've tried to get Bryce to talk to me, but he said it was worthless until I got the details today. What's the deal with Bryce and Nate? Dean told me their situation with OCS was unusual, especially with their ROTC experience. It is. Apparently Bryce and Nate were technically classified as commissioned officers once they graduated. Since they both studied engineering, they asked if they could attend officer candidate school. It was unnecessary, but they were given special permission. I have a feeling Bryce worked his voodoo magic. According to Nate, it's highly uncommon. I felt like an idiot when Bryce explained it to me. Wow. So, they're asking to go into intensive training for 12 weeks? Yeah, seems so. Something to do with their long-term plans. I log us in, dial the phone number listed, and hear a series of beeps as others join the call. The large screen shows an office and Professor Grant staring into the screen. A small box pops up on the lower right corner, which captures Quinn and I from my computer cam. A few minutes pass, and finally Professor Grant turns on his sound.
Hello, all. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. Usually we'd have a meeting on campus, but since most of you are home for a small break before summer semester, this was the best option. I can see each of you, but you can only see me. If you have a question, press *8 and you will be live. Let me recap the email sent out last week. Obviously, if you are on this call, you have been accepted to the School of Journalism Summer Expo. Each year, the school recognizes talented individuals in all areas of journalism and communication. These students are vetted through an application process and invited on a 5 to 6 week expedition. Our goal is multifold. First, the university wants to foster the talent and academics for your long-term success. We have relationships with some of the most highly acclaimed news networks and magazines in the country who support this effort. Secondly, this is an opportunity to bring awareness to certain social and cultural issues around the globe. The school takes this job very seriously and is grateful for your commitment, so thank you. He pauses and then smiles widely on the screen, changing his entire persona. Now that the standard bullshit is out of the way, let me tell you all, congratulations. I'm honored to work with this crew of young talent. Each year the professors assigned brag they have the best group, but I've already told my peers that you are the best group to have under my guidance. His excitement is contagious, and there are a few *8s pressed, followed by a chorus of, "Hell yeah!" and "Damn straight." He smiles and waits for the chatter to die down. When it gets quiet, I swear his eyes are on Quinn and me when he speaks. Since the original email went out, there have been some major and significant changes. Valid concerns were presented to the university president, the dean of our school, and myself. We listened and took into account what was being said. In the end, and for the safety of our group, we will no longer be traveling to Israel. My heart falls to my stomach and then begins racing. Quinn shifts so fast the computer slides to the side and I clumsily catch it before it hits the ground. It takes a few seconds for the both of us to get settled. When we do, Professor Grant is looking directly at us. Miss Harris, Miss Jackson, is there a problem?
His lip slants upward, twitching. "Star 8 his ass and answer him," Quinn hisses. "You Star 8 him. I don't want to." She hands me the phone and I swat her hand away. She squeaks loudly, trying to press the buttons.
"Ladies, I can see you." Professor Grant is laughing at us now. "If you're ready, I'll continue." Heat creeps up my cheeks and I watch Quinn bite her lip, trying not to smile. We both nod. "With full disclosure, I'll explain why we changed our minds. Within 36 hours of announcing our location, we received mounds of calls expressing concern. Most of your parents called, emailed, or in some cases, made personal visits to our offices. The arguments were compelling, to say the least." Quinn grasps my hand, and we communicate without words. This was us. Somehow, someway, our families orchestrated this sabotage. It probably wasn't hard if the other parents were as upset as ours. But how the hell did they pull this off? There are 16 people in our group. How did they get the names? Then it hits me, like a ton of bricks, and my blood runs hot. No wonder Bryce was so calm about the whole thing, and my parents nonchalantly mentioned me being gone this summer. The eruption of massive proportions from everyone never came because they all knew. We weren't going to Israel. They made sure of it. "We shared this with our sponsors, and the decision was made to change our location. Lucky for us, there was a project readily available that would support our numbers." I ball my fists and beat lightly on my knees. Quinn's eyes are wide as she looks back and forth between me and the screen. I'm going to kill them. Could this be more humiliating? Everyone has to know it was us. I snip to Quinn, and she nods, giving me a nasty glare. "Where should we start?" she asks under her breath. I'm assuming my pushy, overprotective fiancé. He's probably the one who spearheaded this. He's the only one who knew outside of me and you until we told our families. "I see irritation and uncertainty crossing some of your faces. Let me assure you, this was the best decision with the current unrest in certain parts of the country. We were already questioning backing out, and that's why it was so easy to change our course." Once again, he's looking straight at us. That damn Star 8 beeps, and voices fill the line. "Come on, Professor G, don't keep us hanging." "The suspense is killing me. Spill it." "Where the hell are we going?" "Who the F cares about Israel? Let's hear it. Where are we going?" He clears his throat and does nothing to hide his excitement. "We, my friends, are heading to Rio de Janeiro, home to the 2016 Olympics." My stomach lurches, and Quinn and I screech at the same time. We jump to our knees and hug clumsily, this time not caring that the computer falls over into the mattress. The excitement is shared equally with everyone, as screams can be heard through the phone. "Fuck yeah! Holy shit! This is fucking cool." One guy even yells, "Mom, you're gonna love this shit!" This sends a round of laughter. Some of my irritation is replaced with thrill. We set the computer back upright and wait to hear the rest. It takes a few minutes for everyone to calm and Professor Grant to continue. For the next hour, we receive multiple emails with instructions, agendas, and basic travel rules. When the call is over, both Quinn and I fall back on the bed and make a list of things we now know we need. My phone dings with a text from Bryce. "Bryce, how'd your call go?" "Is it creepy how in tune he is with you? I mean, the call ended less than 10 minutes ago. How did he know?" Quinn asks. "I don't know. But are you ready to go?" Once I reply, we need to run. She gives me a knowing grin. We get to her car and back out of the driveway before I send my response. He could be down the street or across town, but no doubt he will be barging through the door soon. Me. Call was great. Israel's out. Frowny face. But no worries. Istanbul should be fun. Phone is dying. Out with Quinn. See you later. XO. He's going to flip, but let him stew on it for a while.
When Quinn and I walk into my house a few hours later, Bryce is on the couch with his arms crossed, staring directly at me. His expression is eerily blank. Quinn stands close and puts her hand to my back. Should I go?
No, Quinn, you need to stay. Put down your bags and both of you come here, Bryce orders, and we move fast.
When we get to the couch, he pats the cushions on either side of him and we drop down.
Istanbul, Devon. Really? I almost believed it.
It was a joke. I was aggravated at you for interfering with the program. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it's going to be when I see these people in 2 weeks?
I don't give a flying fuck if you're embarrassed. What I care about is you coming back alive and unharmed.
What exactly did you do, Bryce? How did you make this happen, changing an entire planned and sanctioned trip? We already know you had help, but you were with me in Florida. I look to Quinn for support, but she's silent. Bryce blows out a breath and runs his hands down his face.
If you want me to say I'm sorry, I'm not.
Bryce.
No, Dev. Here's what happened. I forwarded the email on your phone to Nate. There was a spreadsheet attached with all students accepted and their contact information, including their emergency contacts. Most of these were the parents. A few calls and emails were exchanged. Karen, Steve, Michelle, Paul, and Nate all called your professor and expressed concerns. Believe it or not, they were not the first, nor the last. Once the administrators understood the ultimate dangers, they made a different decision. It wasn't all us.
But you should have talked to me. Y'all promised we'd talk about it logically when we got home. All the while, you were plotting behind our backs. I point to Quinn, who nods eagerly. They wouldn't send us into a country without protection.
Maybe they wouldn't purposely do it, but threats don't stand on the street corner warning you they are coming. Don't you understand? No matter how peaceful a country wants to be, they can't stop the evil lurking in the shadows. ISIS is building an army. Everyone in law enforcement around the world is trying to get a lock on their movements and motives. A group of young Americans talking to the families torn apart by religious war and political enemies could set off someone. We couldn't take that chance.
I think you all may have overreacted.
No, Devon. Listen to me. Really listen to me.
He reaches to the folder on the table and starts arranging photographs.
This is what can happen to people ISIS wants to make an example of.
My gut turns, and tears sting as I take in the horrid pictures laid out. Men, women, and children are beaten, bloody, burned, and some dead. Quinn sucks in a shaky breath, and I know she's holding back her own emotions.
I wish on my life I didn't have to show you these, but it's not fair for you to be mad at me, your parents, Nate, anyone. You have to understand, I'd do anything to protect you, including forwarding these to the president of the University of Virginia. Her mind changed really quickly. It's one thing to send in a team of seasoned journalists with protective details and millions of dollars behind them, but totally another for a group of college kids.
This is so terrible. I reach for one of the pictures and withdraw quickly. I don't want to even touch them.
Yeah, babe.
He cups my chin and turns my face to his.
And I already told you. If anything happened to you, I'd die along with you. I'd prefer to delay that for 70 or so years. You owe me a trip down the aisle.
A sob escapes and I throw my arms around him. Quinn wraps around from his back and we both hold him tight. After a minute we pull away and he puts the pictures back in the folder. He visibly relaxes and lifts me onto his lap.
All right, guys, it's handled. You can come in now. They're under control, Bryce yells behind us.
Like Sunday night, when we got home, the room fills with all our parents and my brother. My mom, somewhere in the last few hours, has found a shirt with the Olympic rings and the 2016 logo for Rio. How in the world did you know we were going to Brazil? I question her. The room erupts in laughter, and every eye goes to Bryce. When I look at him, he gives me a cocky grin.
I have Professor Henry Grant on speed dial.
Of course he does. Chapter 3.
Babe, we're here,
Bryce says softly in my ear. I open my heavy eyes slowly and see we are in the parking lot of his apartment complex. Sorry, I fell asleep.
Don't be. Nate and I listen to sports radio.
That's probably what put me to sleep. I scowl. Well, that and a half-dozen shots I got this morning.
Let's get you to the couch. You can go back to sleep.
He unclips my seatbelt and lifts me. I can walk. I try to argue, but then rest my head on his shoulder, inhaling his scent.
Are you sniffing me?
Sort of. I love the way you smell. Spicy, woodsy, citrusy. All you. I've loved this cologne since you were in high school. He stops and turns his head toward me. The look on his face is unreadable until his eyes grow soft.
It's exactly the same with you. The perfume you wear is permanently etched into my brain. Every single time a woman is in the vicinity with that same scent, I automatically look for you.
My heart swells and I touch my lips to his. He holds me tighter as his tongue slips into my mouth. At the taste of him, my heart rate speeds up. I clutch his shoulders and twist my legs around his waist. It doesn't occur to me that we're still outside in the parking lot as I devour his mouth. Our tongues swirl together while the familiar burning builds in the pit of my stomach. We stay this way until a car drives by, honking. Bryce breaks away, nipping my lower lip gently.
You've got to be fucking kidding me,
Nate grumbles behind us. Sorry, I squeak, completely unapologetic. He rolls his eyes and passes us to grab the bags from the truck. I jump down and help unload. Once we get inside, a sense of sadness washes over me. These next few days will be the last we spend in this apartment. There are a lot of fond memories that whirl through my mind. Bryce and I may not have spoken for a long time, but before I cut him out of my life, Quinn and I loved visiting the guys when we were seniors in high school. Even with the Holly fiasco, the week I spent here on spring break was one of the best weeks ever. It was the first time as a true couple Bryce and I had a week together. I fight back the tears that threaten. Both men watch me carefully, reading the sadness in my face. Neither says anything as they wait for it to pass. The apartment is not the only thing that has made me feel this way. Since the night we celebrated my trip to Rio, I've been blindsided with emotions regarding the upcoming changes in our lives. In 12 days, I'll be saying goodbye for 6 weeks. Bryce and Nate leave for Rhode Island shortly after. We'll know more about methods of communication once they get there, but both have already prepared me that we won't be having hours of FaceTime like we did before. OCS expectations are insanely high, and the training is intense. Bryce has promised to try everything in his power for us to talk daily, but we both know it won't happen, especially when I land in South America. So I glance around the room, committing it to memory, and plaster on a fake smile. We're getting the U-Haul on Saturday, right? I ask Nate.
Yeah, if you guys will be here to help load it up. We should be on the road back to Nashville by 2 or 3.
Why don't y'all start on your rooms, and I'll do the kitchen?
Fine by me.
Nate grabs a few boxes from the corner and disappears down the hall.
I'll help you. My room can wait.
Bryce follows me to the kitchen with our own boxes. I'll start with the cabinets, you clean out the fridge. He agrees and grabs the trash can while I get the dishes down and start wrapping. We're silent for a few minutes, but I feel the heat of his stare. I know you're looking at me.
I'm not trying to hide that.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're breathtaking. My eyes won't come unglued.
Tears blur my vision with his sweet words. My heart physically hurts knowing we're about to be apart for so long. He sees them and comes straight to me, pulling me into his embrace.
Don't cry, baby.
It's all becoming so real. When we walked into the apartment today, I felt it immediately.
I know. It was written all over your face.
It's silly. It's only an apartment. And we have time before we leave. Why the hell am I so emotional?
Maybe it's only an apartment, but remember the weekend you and Quinn came to visit and we took you to a UT football game?
Yes.
Remember that stupid marathon you girls watched on Sunday?
Pretty Little Liars is hardly stupid. He raises an eyebrow and cups my chin gently.
It was, and is, fucking ridiculous. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Every once in a while, I'll run across that program and watch it, thinking of you. God. I loved you then, but was too scared to admit the feelings. At the time, it was more of a, she's such an incredible and beautiful girl, but now, I recognize the signs. All weekend, my heart would race when you walked into a room. My palms grew sweaty, thinking about reaching out to grab your hand. My mouth would salivate each time you licked your lips. I had it bad, but was too dumb to recognize it. So yeah, it's only an apartment, but it holds memories.
I suck in a shaky breath and stare into his deep blue eyes. They hold me captive with their own emotions swirling. I thought it impossible to love him any deeper, but he proves me wrong with statements like that.
We'll get our own apartment, baby. In a few years when you graduate and we know where I'm stationed, we'll get a place and build new memories.
I know we will. I'm being immature and ridiculous.
No, you're being you, and I love you.
Bryce, I'm going to warn you now. I'm going to be a mess, an absolute mess when I leave.
Me too, babe,
he tells me and sweeps my hair to the side, laying his face against my neck.
I need to be focused, but you'll be on my mind constantly.
I try to hold back, but fail. I cry openly, latching onto his shoulders. It's a worthless effort to talk because sobs rack my body. I've been holding in so much emotion that I can't stop. I'm happy, but sad. I'm proud, but scared. I'm nervous, but excited. All these thoughts run through my mind as I hold him tight. The only thing to bring me out of his arms is the sound of my brother coughing softly. I step back and turn to him, pulling him close.
Dev, what the fuck?
I promise after tonight, no more tears until I leave, but do you know how much I love you? I say into his shoulder and he holds me tighter.
Yeah, I think so.
His own emotions clog his throat. I allow his hold to calm me and then step back, swiping my eyes and grabbing a napkin to wipe my face. No more. I'm fine. I square my shoulders. Let's finish this kitchen and then order an early dinner. I think it may even be time to crack open a beer. Bryce takes no time in handing Nate and me a beer and opening one for himself. He moves me next to him and kisses my temple.
For the rest of our lives,
is all he says, and I smile widely. I know the minute Nate leaves for the night, because Bryce barges into the bathroom, strips without a word, and joins me in the shower. He smiles seductively as his eyes rake up and down my soapy body. I turn into the spray to rinse off, yelping when he tugs me into him. The second his fingers touch my hardened nipples, I throw my head back into the crook of his neck. He nibbles on my earlobe as I snake my hand between us and rub my thumb lightly over the head of his hardened cock. Bryce growls loudly and moves one hand lower until his finger slides easily into me. I practically purr when he glides another inside me and slides them in and out. My hand wraps all the way around him, earning a rough hiss.
Come for me, babe. You're so fucking wet. My dick is begging to be inside you, but I need you to come first.
His fingers increase their pace, and my release builds. My body is on fire with the warmth of his embrace and the heat from the shower spray. He squeezes my entire breast, eliciting a moan.
Fuck it, I can't wait.
Bryce stops, rips his hands away, and spins me toward him. He bends and lifts me so that my legs wrap around his waist easily. Once he has me backed into the tile wall, he lowers me onto him, his hard cock gliding into my slickness slowly. His eyes burn with desire, and I'm trapped. This is another moment I'm committing to memory, the desire and hunger lingering in the air between us. My nails skim up the back of his neck as I crush my mouth to his. The kiss is hard and deep, and he swivels his hips several times before rapidly driving into me. I tighten my core muscles, trying to not only push him closer to the edge, but also hold myself back. If I let go, I'll explode, but I want him with me. He pulls away from the kiss and lays his forehead against mine, breathing heavy.
Baby, let go.
Not without you.
Devin, I'm right there. You're so fucking tight, so wet.
There's nothing I can do to stop the pressure building. My breathing shallows and Bryce grins slyly. He rotates his hips once and moves himself against the sensitive skin of my clit. Bryce! I scream as the orgasm hits me with monstrous force, threatening to split me open. Spots cloud my vision as he pumps into me twice more before yelling through his own release. I try my best to focus, but when his hands squeeze my ass, I come again from the sensations alone. His body stills against mine, and we both pant loudly, holding on to one another.
I'm pretty sure it was a good thing I had never felt your body around mine when I made my life plan.
His voice is raspy. Why do you say that?
If I'd have known how fucking terrific you feel, and the things you do to me when I signed up for the Navy, I may have rethought my decision. Now being away from this for any amount of time is its own form of torture.
I giggle and kiss his collarbone casually. He moves us easily out of the spray and turns off the water. Stepping out of the shower, he grabs a towel and rubs it up and down my back. I take the towel from him and try my best to dry his own back, staying wrapped around him. When he lays me on his bed, I let go and shuffle under the sheets. He crawls next to me and tugs my hair out of the bun. His skin is still warm and damp as I curl into him. Wake me up in an hour so we can do that again. I yawn and feel his chest vibrate under my cheek.
Those vaccinations really did a number on you, huh?
Yes, paired with the fact that I had an emotional afternoon and then incredible sex.
Sleep, baby.
His fingers rub lightly up and down my arm. Seriously, wake me up in an hour. He chuckles softly and links our hands together, draping them across his chest.
I love you, sweet girl.
That's the last thing I hear, until the pounding on the front door startles us both awake. Bryce starts cussing and slides from under me, switching on the bedside lamp.
Sorry, but I need to find something to put on, he rumbles.
What time is it?
Actually, it's a little after 8.
We slept almost 9 hours?
Seems so. And we're going to sleep a few more after I take care of whoever's at the door.
The pounding starts up again and he pulls on a pair of athletic shorts. Who the hell visits this early?
No idea, but I'll be back.
He kisses my forehead and walks out, leaving the door cracked. I lean back into his pillow, but my eyes pop open when he yells,
"What the hell?"
I scramble to his bathroom to get the pajamas I left on the counter last night. Once I have them on and my hair is in a ponytail, I rush toward the living room. Nate is in his doorway, and he puts one finger to his lips. I join him and strain to hear what's happening.
"This is going to be really good," Nate whispers.
Who's here? Before he can answer, Holly's annoying voice fills the other room. Aren't you going to let me in?
Fuck no. Now I'll ask you again, what the hell are you doing here?
I couldn't let you leave without talking to you.
About what?
Please, let me in, she tries again.
What don't you understand about fuck no? I thought it was made perfectly clear when I saw you at the bar last month that you fucking needed to get over whatever bullshit you had in your head about us. You ambushed my girlfriend at my apartment pool while she was alone to spout your delusional shit about us.
Bryce's angry vibes fill the whole apartment. I try to go to him, but Nate grips my wrist.
Let him do this, Dev. It's a long time coming. He's been angry since she pulled her stunt with you years ago. He needs to get it out. You know he won't hurt her, but he's finally going to leave no room for misinterpretation.
I nod and then inch forward to peek around the corner. It's obvious she put some work into her visit. She's dressed to the nines, and her 3-inch wedge sandals showcase her long, slender legs. Her hair is straightened, hanging long, and her face is completely made up. No one looks that good this early in the morning unless they have an agenda.
Holly, for Christ's sake, what the fuck are you doing banging on my door this early?
I saw Nate out last night and overheard him say y'all were moving and heading to Rhode Island. I couldn't let you leave without clearing the air between us. We were in love once. We were going to have a baby. Can we start over? Maybe I can visit wherever you're stationed after OCS. I whip my head to see Nate's eyes grow wide, and then a smile break out across his face.
Just wait,
he mouths. I turn back to watch as Bryce crosses his arms across his naked chest and looks at the ceiling, blowing out a loud breath. His eyes slice to the side, and he gives me a small chin jerk in acknowledgement. She remains oblivious to my presence.
Holly, I'm pretty sure you saw the ring on Devon's hand at my graduation and know I proposed. If you didn't, let me go ahead and officially announce I'm engaged.
She shakes her head back and forth in disbelief. I saw it, but couldn't believe you'd ever link yourself to a girl. That's what she is, Bryce. A girl. Isn't she still in her teens? There's no way she can give you what you need. How did this even happen? A growl escapes his throat, and when he speaks, the tone of his voice makes the hair on my arms stand.
Let me get this straight. You hear I'm back in town to pack up and move, and you get a wild hair? Then you fancy yourself up, bang on my door at 8 in the morning, and haul my ass out of bed with my fiancé so you can clear the air?
Her eyes widen and do a quick scan of the room at the mention of me. She opens her mouth, but Bryce cuts her off.
I'm going to answer your questions, and then I'm closing this door. Thought I made that clear before, but I was too nice. No more nice. I've been in love with Devon Harris since the day I laid eyes on her. She's the most beautiful thing in my world, probably always has been. You call her a girl, and that's fine, because she's my girl. But she's also all woman, and I am lucky to be linked to her. If there's anything I need, it will come from her, because she's my everything.
He takes another deep breath, and her lips start to quiver.
As for how this happened, she graciously gave me another chance after I begged. The stunt you pulled the night of her high school graduation will always be embedded in her brain, no matter how many times I try to erase it. Making her think you were my fiancé was low. You knew our relationship wasn't serious. I never loved you.
His voice grows soft with kindness, but he continues to speak.
That may seem cruel, but you know it's true. You manipulated me with threats and then heartache. If fate was different, and we'd had a child, I'd be the best damn dad ever, but I'd be doing it with her by my side. I thought I wasn't good enough for her after you got pregnant, but she still consumed my mind.
A tear falls down her cheek, and she puts a hand to her mouth. After all this time and the endless conversations Bryce had with her, she finally realizes he was never hers. His kindness after the miscarriage gave her a hope she's been clinging to. Even with me in the picture, she thought she had a chance to win him back.
Looks like you may understand now. The only reason I'm standing here at all is because I'm waiting to hear that you want to apologize to Devon for your classless behavior the last time you saw her."
Tears flow freely down her face, and a small piece of me feels sympathy. Then she straightens her shoulders, and anger flashes across her face.
"Is that what she told you? She's a liar." "Holly, stop. At this point, you're embarrassing yourself. I'll be out of this city in a few days, and I can only hope our paths don't cross again. But if they do, don't fuck with us, or you'll regret it."
He steps back, shuts the door, and turns to the room. I run to him, jumping into his arms. "If that girl doesn't get the hint after that, she needs help," I say softly. He grunts into my neck. With that being said, I think my fiancé needs to know how much of a turn-on that was. Bryce leans back and gives me a smug smirk. Both of us turn our heads when Nate grumbles. He's changed into shorts and has his running shoes on.
"I'm going for a run. Be back in an hour."
He emphasizes the hour and walks out the door. I giggle and Bryce kisses me quickly.
"You have an hour, babe. I'm all yours."
"You bet you are." Chapter 4. Bryce's parents have a bungalow on the back of their property, only having used it as an office for Sheila in the past. They offered for the guys to store their stuff indefinitely. We all know it could be a long time before they actually get another place of their own, so this saves them from having to pay for a storage unit for years. When the last box is unloaded from the U-Haul, I fall onto the sofa and moan. My eyes sting from exhaustion. Quinn falls next to me and exhales dramatically. "This moving shit is tough." "I don't even want to hear it from you. You've only been around for 3 hours. Imagine 3 days. Dean drove up from Atlanta to see Quinn for the weekend, and they agreed to help us unload. When this is all over, I'm going to owe her huge. While I've been away the last few days, she has taken care of everything for our upcoming trip. The program requires we all fly into Rio as a group. Our international flight leaves out of Miami, so we were responsible for getting to the Miami airport with adequate time to meet with Professor Grant 2 hours before departure. She worked with the university travel coordinator for the both of us. After reviewing the flights and knowing the importance of being there, we decided to fly in a day early and stay at an airport motel. This disappointed Bryce, but he didn't say too much. Quinn also got us a flight into Charlottesville for a short trip to pack what we need and meet with Roxy, the girl watching our apartment and my car while we are gone. She's a friend who cheers with us and actually needed a place to stay for a few weeks to attend a summer workshop. It worked out well, and we agreed. If we weren't accepted to the summer expo, our plan B was to come back to UVA for a second summer semester, but things fell into place once we heard about the program. So while I've been away the last few days, my best friend has organized our lives effortlessly. Yep, I owe her huge. Why are you so tired? Was there some wild excitement you haven't told me about yet? She raises her eyebrows and pinches my side lightly. No other excitement. We packed all day and then went out with some of their friends last night. Somehow our low-key night turned into me going to bed at 4 a.m. Bryce didn't crawl in until 6. Then we were up at 10 to load the truck. Even though I didn't have to, I scoured the apartment the best I could to make sure they got their security deposit back. I didn't sleep on the drive because we stopped halfway to switch drivers, and I rode with Nate the rest of the way home. How's he feeling about everything coming up? He says he's pretty open to being stationed anywhere, and I believe him. Bryce and I truly thought he wanted San Diego, but now he's talking more about Norfolk. I'm thrilled because I'd hate for him to be across the country. You know it's going to happen someday, right? I know, I say softly. I'm in denial, especially with their skill sets. They're likely to be in high demand. We'll take it one day at a time, like always, and in the end, no matter where everybody is stationed, we'll have a wedding to plan. She squeezes my hand. I smile as both our phones ding with incoming emails. Students,
We received some incredible news today that I could not refrain from sharing. As I mentioned on our last call, the leadership team has been working intensely to gain access to the athletes in the vicinity that are on the road to the 2016 Olympics. These are men and women from all over the world who have traveled to work with trainers and coaches and get a feel for the area. They are contenders for their categories, working hard toward their dreams. It has been confirmed that we will be allowed to interview and photograph the aspiring competitors during our expo. I am working on the assignments now, but you will each be in groups of 4, led by one of our professional leaders. I will not be leading, but instead will be floating around, joining you all at different times. You all have different talents, and I assure you, I will build teams that carry equal weight in photography, journalism, world knowledge, and social awareness. This trip is quickly becoming the envy of all other summer programs. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me directly. I will, however, tell you there are no requests for teams. These will be carefully worked through by me. I look forward to seeing you all in a week. Sincerely, Professor Henry Grant.
Oh my God, this is unreal! Quinn jumps up and dances around as I squeal, kicking my feet in the air. Nate, Bryce, Dean, and Dave go quiet and stare at us with amusement. We have permission to interview the contending Olympians! I practically scream. Bryce looks at me, stunned, then smiles widely, stalking over to me. He tugs me off the couch and kisses my forehead lightly. Before he can ask, I launch into the email.
That's incredible news, he says when I'm done. Girls, what happens with all these photos and stories when you get back to school?
Dave questions us. Basically, we had to sign our rights away. Any of the work by the students that gets used in any type of publications will guarantee we get name recognition, but the school gets most of the credit, which is fine. In the end, though, if one of our pieces is picked up for national exposure on the networks our leadership teams represent, we will be named as well. We will get no monetary payments, but we are allowed to use and note it on our resumes, internship applications, and grad school submissions. Also, we'll get recommendations from the national journalists. This is highly unlikely since the real journalistic work starts closer to when the final athletes are named, I explain. Quinn never quits dancing in her little circle until she throws herself at Dean. No matter what the outcome, this type of opportunity basically guarantees a spot in the MFA program, she sings. When I lock eyes with Bryce, my breath disappears. His are shining bright with pure pride.
This is going to be a lifetime experience. I wish I could share it with you.
Oh, buddy, don't you worry. You'll know every detail of the trip as if you were standing beside me. Did you forget? I'm the photographer.
I'm counting on it, babe, because you're going to blow this out of the water.
His confidence in me adds to the ever-growing list of things I cherish about him. Another moment to add to memory. Quinn rolls her eyes when Bryce flashes his military ID and asks for a buddy pass to walk us through the airport to our gate. She's been lenient on him since we got home from Florida, not busting his ass too much. But I can see that's about to change. You know, Bryce, I think you may want to check and see about what housing assignment they've given you in Rhode Island. Pretty sure you've turned into a total girl. And I was right. He keeps his mouth shut, but narrows his eyes at her. She cracks up and walks ahead of us. Are you kidding me? This line is ridiculous. She turns back to me and transfers her carry-on to Bryce. I need to use the restroom and can't wait to get through this madhouse of people. Can you carry my bag and I'll meet you at the gate? Without waiting for an answer, she sidesteps me and disappears around the corner. We show our documents to the TSA agent, and I get a glimpse of Bryce's buddy pass. It is exactly like my ticket. He catches my eye and winks, then leads me to the express lane. Bryce. He places one finger on my lips to quiet me, then lowers his head to my ear.
Get through security, and I'll explain. But you've probably figured out by now that I'm not dropping you off at the gate.
I lean back and nod. Is it totally improper for me to kiss you right now?
The kind of kiss I would want would probably land us in jail, so I'll settle for something softer.
He runs his lips across mine and then steps back, taking my bag from my hands. Once through security, we find a restaurant near our gate. He casually orders us breakfast as I stare at him, waiting for an explanation. He finally chuckles, shaking his head.
Did you really think I'd let you go to Virginia alone?
It's for one night, I protest.
That was one night I wasn't willing to give up. Not to mention I'm going to miss your birthday next month, so I worked with Quinn to surprise you. Today and tomorrow, we'll pack up what you need, get your apartment ready, and take care of your business. But tonight, you're all mine. And I have a celebration planned.
What about Quinn? I look for her at the gate.
Well, I had to make her a deal. I'm responsible for gathering her items and getting them home. She gave me a detailed list and said you'd help.
He gives me a look of terror before reaching in his pocket and handing over a folded piece of paper. I read through and giggle at the ridiculous things she listed for him. This is a total joke, honey. His face visibly relaxes.
Thank God, because look at items under Section H.
The waitress delivers our drinks, and I scan to Section H. It was a mistake to take a sip of water because it comes straight back up, spraying out of my mouth. Section H, pink Cosmo bunny, found in my nightstand drawer, Sweet Success bullet, also in pink, extra batteries located in my bathroom cabinets. My laugh turns into snorting as I try desperately to catch my breath. His lip twitches, fighting a smile. She's good. The look on your face was priceless. I'm not sure if she does own these items, but they will not be traveling to South America with us.
Good to know. I was emotionally scarred thinking about locating her sex toys, but she made me promise before she'd help me set up the surprise.
Do you have luggage? He points to the bag Quinn shoved at him earlier.
That's actually mine. Quinn's probably in my car on her way home now. I really wanted this to be special. It's our last night alone for months.
My eyes start to prickle, but I smile when our food is delivered. Bryce situates his chair around the table as close to mine as possible. He gently cups my chin, then cradles my head in his neck, kissing along my forehead.
I love you, Devon. And unfortunately, we're going to have a lot of separation in our lives. The career I chose is going to take me away from you for long periods of time. But it's my job to let you know that you are my world. So for the next 2 days, our last time alone for months, I plan to do that.
Once again, his words bring out the deep emotions threatening to surface, and I swallow hard, gripping his wrist. Let's make a deal. You don't say incredibly sweet and sentimental things that make me want to wail. Hide your sensitive side until at least the night before I leave. There's only so much I can take. He grins into my neck and speaks softly.
Okay, babe. No more gushy shit. Now, let's eat. You're going to need your energy tonight.
Chapter 5. Bryce's hands snake up my stomach and his fingers link with mine as I squirm under him. His tongue circles my clit slowly before he slides into me, sucking hard. I moan in pleasure when he positions our hands over my aching nipples and squeezes. His mouth and tongue move in rhythm, sucking and nipping. I swivel my hips upward, tightening my thighs and forcing him deeper. One hand pulls out of my hold and slides down my side, over my hip, and stops at his mouth. When he slips the tip of a finger inside, fire shoots through me, and I clench down.
So fucking beautiful, he rumbles, and all mine.
Yes, I pant, tingling sensations rushing through every nerve in my body. He takes his time, slowly building me up, taking cues from the way my body responds. Each snip of his teeth is followed by a lick to ease the sting. The only other time in my life I tried intimacy with another man was nothing compared to the way Bryce and I are together. The instantaneous reaction of craving and desire, each time we touch, fuels the passion between us.
Baby, your legs are shaking. Let go. Give me that.
His cool breath against my heated core sets me off, and I thread my fingers through his hair, screaming his name. He doesn't move fast, instead licking me once more, then kissing a path up my stomach, situating my legs around his waist. Without words, he slips inside, stretching me easily. Somehow he finds the strength to lift me up, leaning back on his calves and holding me to him. We rock together, and I lose myself in the endless blue of his gaze. My breath gets caught in my throat when he leans in and brushes his lips across mine.
Tell me you know how much I love you.
I love you too.
Promise me you know how much.
I know how much. He nods and continues to make love to me slowly, running his mouth, lips, and tongue over every inch of flesh he can. I hold on to his shoulders and arch, rubbing my throbbing nipples into his own, eliciting a low growl from him. Suddenly, he plants himself as deeply as possible. I roll my hips against his, meeting him thrust for thrust. We both groan and then scream together as our shared releases wash through us. I cling to him, feeling our slick, sweaty chests rise and fall at the same time. My legs start to cramp from the hold I have around his waist, so I reluctantly loosen them and collapse on the bed. He follows me, rolling to his side to prop on an elbow. His fingers run through my hair, fanning it on the pillow. Our eyes stay locked, lost in each other, and the intensity in his stare causes my breath to hitch. "What's wrong?" I practically whisper.
Nothing.
"You're lying."
I promised no more mushy shit, so my lips are sealed.
"Is what you're thinking going to make me cry?"
Who knows? You cry a lot recently.
"Bryce!" I playfully slap his hard chest and watch the amusement spread across his face. He turns us slightly and then inches up the bed with his back to the headboard. I have no choice but to straddle his lap and sit face to face. Both of his hands move to mine, linking our fingers. I fall slightly and brace on his chest.
I hate doing this, but it's the last night we will have privacy for a very long time.
His amusement is replaced with seriousness. Do what?
I need to make sure you understand some things. I moved at lightning speed and wouldn't change a thing. Even though Steve gave me his blessing to propose, he also made me promise to have a conversation with you.
I suck in a breath, knowing my dad is somehow involved.
Listen to me, babe. Really listen. I need to prepare you.
My pulse starts racing.
This is not the only birthday I'm going to miss, nor is it the only celebration I'll be absent. Being in the Navy comes with certain responsibilities. I can pray every day that I'll be there for our anniversaries, the birth of our children, and every other celebration in our lives, but I can't promise it. Even now, thinking I may miss your graduation next year kills me. Further into our lives, my career is going to dictate a lot. We're going to get transferred to places out of my control. That's going to affect your own job as well as our children's lives.
Bryce, he continues and talks over me.
If we ever have another wartime situation while I'm enlisted, there's no telling where I'll be, so it's really important to me that you understand and know what you're getting into. I have a duty to serve my country, and I take that seriously, but if it ever gets too much for you, promise to talk to me. I can't lose you. There's nothing I can do short-term, but long-term.
Shut it. I lift one of our linked hands to his lips and pinch. I've been in love with you since I was 12 years old. You want to know why I never dated anyone seriously in high school or college? Because I compared everyone to you. No one stood a chance. Yeah, we have the loser list. It was my way of trying to move on. But what no one knows, not even Quinn, is that I've researched, studied, and memorized the life of a Navy wife. even when I thought I couldn't have you. Let's not forget, I'll miss your birthday too while you're away. When you're deployed, it's going to be lonely, it's going to be hell, and I'll probably cry a lot. But I'll still have you. I take in a deep breath, and his hands tighten. Then I exhale, ready to say more, but he sits up quickly, wrapping my arms around my back and burying his face directly over my heart.
Now who's the one saying mushy things?
He mutters, then waits a second before speaking again.
Promise me. If it ever gets scary or too much, you talk to me. We'll work through it.
I nod and whisper, promise. Quinn. Warn Bryce now. He's going home. I need you for a few hours alone. By the way, waiting in arrivals. I bite my lip and glance sideways after reading Quinn's text. Bryce reaches for my hand, reads the message, and blows out breath. We pick up our luggage and walk out to see Quinn in the no parking lane, talking to a police officer. When we get closer, I recognize him as Trevor, an old friend of Nate and Bryce's from high school. As soon as he sees Bryce, his smile goes wide, and he eagerly reaches to shake hands, slapping Bryce on the back. They talk for a few minutes before Trevor notices me, and his eyes grow wide in recognition.
Devin Harris?
He asks. I nod and grin.
Jesus, look at you. When did you grow up? Last time I saw you was the graduation party your parents threw for the seniors. What was that, 4 years ago?
His gaze rakes up and down my body, and Bryce goes still beside me. Something like that. How are you, Trevor?
Great. I've been a cop in Nashville for almost a year. Much different situation on this side of the law.
He turns to Bryce, his face lit with humor.
Randolph, man, remember that time we were picked up partying behind that old farmhouse senior year? You were hooked up with Missy Higgins then, right?
I can't stop the squeak that falls out of my mouth. It's stupid, but at the mere mention of Bryce with another girl, a knot pits in my stomach. The air around us stills as Bryce's back grows straighter. Trevor notices immediately and looks between us.
Did I say something wrong?
Bryce immediately clasps my hand and kisses my ring finger, making a statement. Trevor's eyes dart between my face and Bryce's lips.
Devin is my fiancé. Not sure we need to rehash high school, especially shit that never happened. Someone may have been with Missy, but it sure wasn't me. Are you fucking kidding me? You're marrying Nate's little sister?
His stunned voice comes out in a high tone, and Quinn tries to hold back, but fails. Her small giggle turns into a loud laugh until she starts snorting. She drops her head so her hair covers her face, but her shoulders continue to jiggle. One look at Bryce, and his expression transforms from annoyed to pleased. His lips twitch slightly until he speaks.
Yeah, you could put it that way. Technically, she's Nate's younger sister, but I prefer to refer to her as mine.
Trevor looks among all of us with a confused expression.
Wow. Why is that so hard to believe?
Bryce asks. Trevor's eyes dart to me, then lower to the ground. He shuffles his feet before answering.
Don't mean to be a dick, but I heard you had a kid and fiancé in Knoxville.
All amusement ends. Bryce swallows hard and looks at me before speaking.
You heard wrong.
He doesn't elaborate further, but loads our bags in the trunk.
Sorry, man. I didn't mean to. No worries. Now you know.
He holds his hand out for Quinn to give him the keys, and then opens the front and back door for us to get in. I give Trevor a small smile and wave as Bryce shuts me in. They each give a chin jerk, and it's obvious that Trevor is extremely uncomfortable. Bryce folds into the car and is silent until he gets to the interstate.
Why does it feel like we just stepped off a time machine and back into high school?
Really, it was a legitimate mistake. There are probably a lot of people who heard about the baby but didn't get the whole story. Even though it's a big city, it's still a small community.
It was 2 years ago. Am I ever going to get away from it?
I have an idea. Quinn pipes in. She reaches in my purse and takes out my phone. Whatever it is, that look on your face tells me it's not a good idea. Her fingers work rapidly as her grin widens. Then she reaches for her own phone and types quickly. Here. She hands it back. All of your social media has been updated. You are now officially engaged to Bryce Randolph. Your Instagram also sent a photo of the two of you. Did you caption it? Yep. I scroll through my account and squeal when I see what she's done. She's taken one of the shots of us at the beach and posted for everyone to see with the title, 7 years in the making, but he's finally mine. Then she hashtagged with Future Mrs. Randolph. We have to get this down. I try to remove all tags, but comments keep popping in. We're stopped at a red light when Bryce reaches over to take it out of my hand. His lips start to curl, then he scrolls down and his face goes hard.
Quinn, tell me you didn't put a fucking picture of Devin in her bikini for hundreds of people to see.
Technically, it's thousands, she practically sings, knowing he's about to blow up.
Get that shit down.
Too late, it's been shared. I mean, we could pull it, but it's getting the desired effect. Look at all the comments. Besides, I thought you'd like the hashtag. That was all for you.
I do like it, but what I don't like is her half-naked body floating over the internet.
I don't care about that. I care about the fact that she mentioned 7 years in the making. Could I be more embarrassed? People are going to think I'm a loser. I scowl at my ex-best friend. You're both fucking duds. First of all, Devin, it's not a secret. Anyone who had eyes could see the way you looked at Bryce. Second of all, Bryce, calm your shit. It's not like no one's ever seen her in a bathing suit. Jesus, you two are a fucking mess. You should be thanking me for my brilliant quick thinking. Her face doesn't flinch, waiting for me to argue. I narrow my eyes at her, but don't say anything else. Bryce's phone starts to ding along with mine as our feeds overload with comments. A text comes through from Nate. Nate.
Did you throw up on mine? I'm getting fucking bombarded.
Me. Quinn's handiwork. She tagged you.
Nate. She's a pain in the ass.
Me. I know. Well, regardless of her methods, it worked. Seems both local and college friends now know about us. I grab Bryce's hand. He glares into the rearview mirror at Quinn, but his lips twitch, fighting a grin. She ignores him and plays on her phone. I turn to her and she gives me a quick glance, winking. Now I know. She loaded that picture on purpose to get a rise out of him. God help me. Chapter 6. I hiccup softly, trying to hold in the sobs, clawing up my throat. Immediately my phone rings, and I look out the small airplane window to see Bryce watching me. Hey. My voice is barely a whisper.
Babe, don't let my last memory for 3 months be of tears streaming down your face.
You can't even see me.
Yes, I can, but even more so, I feel you.
How is that possible?
Not really sure. Maybe something to do with the fact that I'm fucking crazy about you.
I touch my lips where he kissed me goodbye not 10 minutes ago. He and Dean brought us to the airport and got passes to walk us to the gate. Unlike last week, this was not going to end with Bryce coming with me. This was the goodbye for months. The one I dreaded and tried to avoid, but when we woke up this morning in his room, ignorance was no longer an option. The time was here. He held me close and made love to me quietly. His parents were out of the house, so we had privacy. All morning he stayed as close as possible. At lunch with my parents he sat so I was practically in his lap. Even though my emotions were all over the place, a small part of me started to simmer with excitement. In 3 days, we'd be given our assignments for the next 6 weeks. My mind was already shooting on all cylinders with ideas for articles.
There's the light that shines. Bryce smiles at me. Even from here, I can see your face starting to brighten. This trip is going to be once in a lifetime, Dev. I may have been a prime ass about the first location, but it was never about your future. It was always about your safety.
I know, and I'm really glad we didn't have to fight about it.
There was no fight. You weren't going, period. End of story.
Bryce, don't start an argument you won't win.
Oh, babe. I'd win, and that's why I took drastic measures.
Don't tarnish our goodbye by being cocky, I warn.
Not being cocky if it's true.
Bryce.
You happy?
Even though his face is slightly fuzzy through the distance and the glass, I can tell his eyes are shining. Yes, I'm happy.
Good. Now go kick some Olympic ass. Call me tonight from the hotel.
Okay, I love you.
That's what I'm counting on,
he says and hangs up. The flight attendant goes through the pre-flight instructions, and the whole time I stare at that window. We don't lose eye contact until the plane backs out and Quinn grabs my hand. I hold on until we're safely in the air. Once we hit cruising altitude, we dislodge and she brings out the folder we've been working on for the last 2 weeks. Over the next few hours, we get acquainted with every Summer Olympic sport and the rules of the games. Since we have no idea which contenders will be in Rio during our stay, we have no athletic bios, but I have a pretty good idea of the basics. Once we land in Miami and get to our hotel, we're both exhausted. Instead of going out, we decide on room service and a movie. I'm rummaging through my overnight bag when a deep male voice fills the room. What the hell? I scream and look at the door. The voice rumbles again, causing me to jump. Who the fuck is that, and where is it coming from? Hola, ¿cómo va você? Quinn repeats the phrase, pressing a button on her phone. That is Raphael. He's going to help us learn Portuguese. Raphael? I named him Raphael because it sounds sexy. It's a translation program I downloaded. I can't help but laugh. Only she would rename a computer-generated program to sound sexy. Well, he scared the shit out of me. He sounded like he was here in the room. Great acoustics on my phone. We need to learn some key phrases to communicate with the locals. Quinn, we're going to be with teams and guides. Yes, but it's smart to be prepared. Now come here, let's do this. She pats the bed next to her and I plop down. Hola, ¿cómo va você? Is, hello, how are you? We both repeat it a few times and take turns asking Raphael about popular general statements. Good morning. Bom dia. Good evening. Boa noite. Where is the restroom? Onde o banheiro? These are boring. Let's get to the good stuff. She wiggles her eyebrows at me wickedly. Asshole! She shouts into the phone.
Idiota.
Jackass.
Asno.
Bullshit.
Besteira.
She looks at me expectantly and holds the phone close to my mouth. Fuck, I say loudly.
Porra.
Bitch.
Cadela.
Damn.
Droga.
Dick.
Penis.
Looks like some words are universal, Quinn giggles. We spend the next hour playing with Raphael until my phone rings. Bryce's face pops up on the screen, and my heart starts to flutter. Hey, sweetie.
Devin, he sighs. Did you forget to call?
No, I was going to call before we started our movie. When we got here, we sort of got sidetracked. Douche, Quinn yells, and Raphael answers,
Dusha. Who the hell is that?
Bryce practically growls. I tell him about our new translator.
Your parents confiscated your fake ID, so you're forced to sit in your room and learn how to cuss in Portuguese? That's a new one.
To be fair, we started out with key phrases in case we had to communicate with locals that don't speak English, and my parents did not confiscate my ID. I'll get it back. My parents have known about my ID since I went to college, never really caring. As soon as Nate and I turned 18, we've been able to drink in social situations. As long as I promise to always be careful and responsible, they've never questioned me having it. Quinn's parents are equally as cool, but they all made us turn them over before we left the country. He continues to laugh while talking.
I know you will, babe. It was a safety thing.
Well, the legal drinking age in Brazil is 18 anyways.
Yes, but I'm hoping you're so wrapped up with work that partying will be the last thing on your mind. I don't like to think about what could happen down there.
His voice changes to serious, and I know my protective Bryce is about to come out. No need to worry. We've talked about this. Can we eat something? Quinn interrupts purposely, rubbing her stomach dramatically. Quinn's hungry.
Call me before you go to bed. Don't forget. Love you.
He hangs up and my heart skips a beat. Will I always have this reaction to just his words? Quinn and I are not the only ones who can't disguise our excitement when we step off the bus. There are a lot of wide eyes and gaping mouths when we see the wonders around us. Our hotel is in close proximity of Olympic Village and the host facilities for the Olympic Games. A chill runs up my spine and goosebumps break out over my skin at the pure magnitude of this moment. In a little over a year, hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world will walk on this very spot. Quinn meets my gaze and shows the same reaction. I'd love to grab my camera from my bag, but I settle on my phone to get a few snapshots. After a few moments, we are ushered into the hotel and directed to a large conference room. The tables set up with colored packets and name badges. The packets in front of me and the three people to my right are all blue, which I assume means this is my team. Professor Grant welcomes us and explains that we are indeed seated next to our team members. Quinn scowls, clearly unhappy about being separated. I scrunch my nose, letting her know I'm not pleased either. To my horror, a throat clears, and Professor Grant is eyeing us. I sit up straighter and try to control the blush creeping up my cheeks. He goes back to reviewing the agenda when the door opens. I literally gasp out loud when some of the biggest names in news walk in. The hair on my arm stands when Shayna Willis stops behind the four of us on the blue team. My eyes meet Quinn's, and hers are as wide as mine. We absolutely admire Shayna. Sometimes, when we're in crazy moods, we'll prance around the apartment using our fists as microphones and pretend to cover a breaking news story. Usually it's after we've had a few drinks. My hands start to tremble when she taps me on the shoulder to introduce herself. I try my best to be normal, but fail miserably. I'm Devin Willis. Oh, shit. I'm Devin Harris. You're Shayna Willis. Her lips tip up as she takes my hand. Nice to meet you, Devin Harris. I slink back in my seat and watch her introduce herself to my other team members. This is where I learn their names: Eric, Kenny, and Crystal. The squeaky voice across the table catches my attention, and I watch Quinn blubber her own introduction to Bill Thames. I completely feel her pain. This man survived an attack overseas, and instead of heading back to the safety of the U.S., he stayed and interviewed survivors and families of the fallen. We both hit the jackpot with our professional mentors. Shayna pulls up a chair, and we review the information in the folders. A few hours later, we are dismissed to go to our rooms and get settled in our home away from home for the next 6 weeks. Quinn and I contain ourselves until we are closed in our room before we both unleash our excitement. After dissecting every detail of our meetings and the new people we'll be working with, she goes downstairs to make some calls. I shoot a quick text to my parents, promising to call later, and then dial Bryce. He picks up on the first ring. Babe. You are not going to believe what I have to tell you. I jump right into my day, trying not to miss any details. He listens until I'm winded from talking so fast. There's humor in his voice when he finally gets a chance to talk, as I stop to take a breath. So happy for you. You're going to take this opportunity by storm. Really? You think so? Absolutely. I couldn't be happier. Damn, I'm going to miss this. The excitement disappears, remembering he leaves at 4 a.m. tomorrow for Rhode Island. Our communication will be severely limited with our schedules. Don't do it, Devin. I can feel your attitude changing. Don't lose that spunk. I take in a deep breath and clench the phone tighter. I'm not going to let you miss this. I'll make a point to do as many videos as possible and send them to your phone. You can watch them when you're not busy." He laughs again, and it hits straight to my heart. I wish I could record that sound.
"All right, that's a good plan. Now tell me more about what you're doing, Hotshot. What's the plan?"
I read him the agendas and different areas we'll be going. We stay on the phone a while, me not wanting to let him go. Finally, he makes me hang up when my words start to mumble from exhaustion.
"Behave yourself, Devin Marie. And remember, I'm your #1 fan,"
he tells me before whispering he loves me, and hangs up. The last thought I have is, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for us. Chapter 7. How many people can say that they get to jump off the 10-meter platform with an Olympic contender on their 20th birthday? I swallow hard and silently pray I live through this. Heights terrify me. My stomach lurches into my throat and threatens to choke me. "Come on, cheer girl, you can do this," Crystal yells from the safety of the concrete poolside, waving fake pom-poms in the air. Eric, Kenny, Crystal, and Shayna are all in position, watching me. Eric has a video camera waiting for me to give him the signal. A hand reaches over to grab mine, and I jump slightly. Eli smiles at me warmly, encouraging me to step forward.
"Anytime you're ready, love."
The smooth accent does nothing to stop the ringing in my ears. "How did you talk me into this again?" I ask the British diver nervously.
"I'd like to think it was my charm."
He winks, making me smile. A sense of calmness washes over me, and I squeeze his hand and motion that I'm ready. I breathe in deep, committing this feeling, so I can write about it later. Eli gives me a chin jerk. I nod, and then we jump together. Eek! I scream as soon as we're airborne. In less than 2 seconds, we're submerged in the water and kicking to the top. The small crowd claps and screams when my head surfaces. Eli's beside me, treading water and whistling as well.
"How'd it feel?"
he asks through a smile. "Exhilarating, terrifying, amazing," I shout.
"Ready to try it again and actually dive?"
His sexy accent gives me a slight tremble. Quinn is going to die when I tell her this story. "Yes," I agree, and swim to the ladder. "Face those fears, Harris." Shayna slaps me on the shoulder as I pass her. This time, as I climb to the platform, I'm not nearly as nervous. Eli stands with me again, and we dive into the water below. Well, he dives graciously. Mine is more like a flop. Once we do this twice more, we join the group waiting for us. I dry off while Eli answers questions regarding his training and routine to prepare for qualifiers. When he's done, I thank him and go to the area designated to change. Shane is waiting on me when I step out of the stall. "I'm proud of you, Devin." "That means the world to me, thank you." "You're quite impressive. All of you are, but you especially. 20 years old and so ambitious. When I was 20, my summer was spent as a cart girl at the local country club, trying to get the attention of the cute boys." "No, you didn't. You were rallying students to protest against the mistreatment of children in—" I snap my mouth shut, realizing I sound like a stalker. She throws her head back and laughs. "That was when I was 21, but I'm honored you've done your research." Blush creeps up my cheeks. "Please don't think I'm a crazy fangirl. I really admire your work. My best friend Quinn does, too." "Quinn Jackson, right?" I nod. "Well, I admire your work as well. When Professor Grant, asked me to take on a group, I only agreed if I could handpick my team." "You picked me?" My voice squeaks. "Sure did." Why?" "Several reasons." She doesn't elaborate further. "So let's wrap this up and have a birthday celebration." I follow her out and send a quick text to Bryce. Can't wait to tell you about my day. Love you. The phone rings and I scramble over the bed to reach it. The time reads 3:30 a.m., which is 5:30 Bryce's time. We discovered last week that this is the best time to catch each other if we want to talk at all. Otherwise, it's a series of missed calls, messages, or texts. "Hello?" I whisper.
"Hey, babe. How was your birthday?"
"Did you see the video I sent?"
"Oh, yeah."
His voice goes tight. "Is something wrong?"
"Who was that guy?"
"Eli?"
"Is that his name?"
Bitterness is evident in his tone. "Are you jealous of Eli?"
"Considering he was holding your hand, yes. You couldn't have missed the way he was looking at you."
"He's a diver from the UK. I told you about meeting him."
"I thought you were meeting a woman diver. How'd you get paired up with him?"
I roll over, curling into a ball. Even though Quinn has been cool about the early morning calls, I try to be as quiet as possible. "Bryce, he's harmless." He grumbles a few seconds and then sighs.
"Can't help it. Was there a need for him to hold your hand, touch you at all?"
"I jumped over 30 feet into a pool. Yes, there was a need." He's silent a few more seconds, and then his tone changes.
"Proud of you, Devon. Though I will tell you, Nate and I both agreed your squeal was a bit dramatic."
"Did you hear me say I jumped over 30 feet? That calls for dramatic." He starts laughing and my heart swells. It's been weeks since he left for Rhode Island. I miss him tremendously. As promised, I've sent him several videos and tried to keep him updated daily. By the way, I love my birthday present. I thumbed the 2 charms he added to my charm bracelet. One is the Olympic rings, and the other an anchor. I almost cried when Quinn handed me the box this morning.
"Thought they were appropriate. Tell me about the rest of your day."
I start from the time we arrived at the training pool facility and continue all the way until Shayna took us out to dinner to celebrate. She even invited Quinn.
"Sounds like a cool woman, and she's brilliant to pick you for her team."
Ha ha. I wish she could have picked me and Quinn.
"That's another reason she's brilliant. She didn't."
"Bryce?" I try to sound offended, but can't. "Remind that Asno I did him a favor by hauling your birthday present into another country and making sure you got it." Quinn rumbles from her bed, clearly hearing me.
"I heard her. Asno means jackass, right?" He chuckles. "Tell me more about your schedule. Remember, I'm going to be in specialized training the next 8 days.
"Don't remind me. I hate it."
"Devon."
I know. I have to be strong. Get used to it. Suck it up, all that bullshit."
"Devon, this is our life. 8 days is hardly anything. I warned you about this. What are you going to do when I'm gone for months?"
Punch to the gut. "I'll hate every minute, but I'll deal."
"Good girl. Now, what's on the agenda?"
"Wrestling, beach volleyball, and archery. We have a few trips about an hour away to interview surrounding city officials. Shayna was able to pull some strings, and we are doing an economic perspective on the effect of the games. It's been done before, but she's planning a new spin."
"Jesus, this woman's a mastermind. Do the other teams get to do anything, or are y'all spearheading the trip?"
"No, fucking Bill Thames did the unimaginable. He got his team inside the gymnastics training facility. Quinn gets to meet some of the gymnasts, bitch." A pillow hits the back of my head and she growls.
"Not sure what you two are going to do next summer to beat this," he says.
"Solve world hunger?" I say playfully.
"Probably a good goal. I better go, babe. Love you."
"Love you too. Be safe." He hangs up and Quinn turns on the light between our beds. She looks at me sleepily, but also with worry. "Dev, I hate to bring it up, but what are you going to do when he's gone for long lengths of time?" "I'm going to rely on you, as I always do, to get me through." She nods and gives me a small smile. "And I will get you through." "Love you, Quinn." "You better, because I got permission to bring you to the gymnastics arena Thursday." And that is why she's my best friend. Chapter 8. My palms are slick with sweat when I knock on the door. Shayna's voice rings out for me to come in, and I inhale deeply, trying to calm my nerves. She's on the phone, standing by the window, and gives me a sign to hold on. I try to hide my smirk, taking in the mess in her room. Besides the bed being unmade and covered in clothes, the desk in the corner looks like an explosion of electronics, wires, and loose papers. Her tablet is set up on top of a portable printer that is currently spouting out paper. She catches my look and rolls her eyes, causing me to giggle. Finally, the knot in my stomach starts to unravel. Shayna emailed me an hour ago asking if I could meet with her privately before the party. Tonight is our last night in Rio, and after we land in Miami tomorrow, everyone will be going back to their lives for the rest of the summer. Quinn was out with her group, and Bryce and Nate both were unavailable to help me through my freakout, so I called my mom. She spent 30 minutes being her normal sense of reason, and convincing me this was another chance for me to shine with Shayna. I left my room with confidence. Now that confidence has vanished. Shayna barks orders into her phone and yanks the printed pages out, reciting some statistics. Finally, she sighs loudly and tells the person she'll call them back. Her phone lands on the bed, and she gives me a wiry look. Let me guess. You're a neat freak. I bite my lip, trying to think of what to say. Don't hold back. Tell me what you're thinking. You don't have to be a neat freak to be more organized. She looks at me and throws her head back, laughing. It may look like a disaster, but I've organized it in my own way. I can find anything in a second. I nod, not wanting to insult her. You don't believe me? My boss didn't at first either. She's like you, OCD. Neat, organized, color codes her files, notebooks, and even production schedules. Her office looks like a rainbow threw up, but hey, whatever works. I wring my hands and shift in place. My eyes look around the room one more time, then lock with Shayna's. She's still smiling widely. I shrug and admit, nothing wrong with color coding. It helps with project organization, and it's also been proven that color stimulates the brain. Ha! I knew it. You're exactly like her. She points, wagging her finger jokingly. Finally, I fully relax and laugh along with her. Well, it can't be all that bad. She is your boss, after all. Yes, that's exactly right. And I adore her. She's actually the reason I asked you to come meet with me. Really? Yes, have a seat. She motions to the only empty chair in the room. I sit and watch in horror as she scoops up loose papers and shoves them to the side with no regard to organization. Tell me about him. Her question takes me off guard. Who? The boy, the guy, the man in your life, the person who you've been texting for 6 weeks. I'm perceptive, Devon, and good at my job. You're easy to read, too. For weeks you've been surrounded by some good-looking men, both athletes and peers. Not one has even turned your head. But the second that phone in your pocket dings, your face lights up in anticipation. I know a woman in love, so tell me, who is he? He's my fiancé. His name is Bryce Randolph. He's in the Navy, and the most thoughtful, I stop my gushing and inwardly curse myself. It's true. You do have it bad. From what I heard, he's got it bad, too. Wait, what? I knew who he was, but had to hear it from your mouth. What are you talking about? I like you, Devon. Not until I joined the network was I ever challenged with peers. No one had the ambition I do. That may sound cocky and arrogant, but it's true. When my mind is set on something, nothing stops me. Like you mentioned in the locker room that day, I was 21 when I led my first rally. We were young and misled, but the feeling of making a difference set my course for life. Nothing and no one would get in my way. That's what makes you one of the most respected women in journalism. People aspire to walk in your shoes and carry the influence and responsibility. Maybe. But that's not why we're here. This is completely overstepping my bounds, but Devon, I see so much of myself in you. The words sink in slowly. Did I hear her correctly? You do? Oh, yeah. Wow, I don't know what to say. That could be the best compliment I've ever received in my life. She tilts her head and looks deep into my eyes before speaking again. I've given up a lot to be here. Not here in a hotel in Rio de Janeiro, but here at the top of my profession. There are always going to be those more professional than me, more edgy, more intelligent, more risky, but I've done okay. Shit. This is harder than I thought. She rubs her hands down her face. I'm lost. This is my feeble and screwed-up attempt to give you career advice. What kind of advice? You're humble, and I like that, but you're also passionate, and that's what's going to lead you in this industry. Let's be honest, your resume and accomplishments alone are going to boost you into the MFA program. If you can keep up the grades and continue to stay out of trouble, this is a given. Aren't these good things? Yes, but they aren't going to sleep beside you at night. They aren't going to warm your heart with love and passion. The travel, the stories, the people and progress, they'll scratch an itch, but it won't be enough. Her words swirl around my mind, and I'm still confused. The last thing I want to look is totally incompetent, so instead I stare, waiting for her to continue. Fuck. She lowers her head and wrings her hands, refusing to return my stare. I'm trusting you here, Devon. Please don't make me regret it. I swallow down the lump forming in my throat. Professor Grant, called me when your fiancé called him. We all agreed from the beginning that Israel wasn't right for this summer, but none of us shied away. When the parents started calling in, the powers that be got busy, but it was Bryce Randolph's call that stayed with Henry. Did you know that your fiancé had his commanding officer, or soon-to-be CO, call too? I drop my head, trying to hide the flush creeping up my cheeks. Don't get embarrassed. That is true love. She pauses. After the chips fell, so to speak, Henry called me again. I lied to you earlier. I didn't agree to this if I could handpick my team. I begged for you. I inhale deeply, unbelieving. Yeah, I'd seen your stuff. Henry sends portfolios to all of his contacts. But he knew you'd catch my eye. You're talented, very young, but still talented. He knows what he's talking about. Shayna, I say shakily, I'm not sure where you're going with this. She slides a folder to the end of the bed. When I open it, I gasp loudly. Holy shit! Is that... It can't be. That's Henry and me. That particular picture was our first day in the master's program at William and Mary. He's totally hot, I say before I can stop myself, then slam my hand over my mouth. She grins and nods in agreement. Totally. Y'all were a thing? I air quote. Oh, so much more. We were the thing. She air quotes back. Wow. This completely raises his coolness factor. You guys look amazing together. What happened? Her face falls immediately, and I know in my heart what happened. You chose the career, I ask tenderly. Yes, and we were young and stupid. He was supportive, but I was stubborn. I eventually broke it off after a job offer took me to Oregon. He was always there for me, but I broke his heart. Then he moved on. I never did. It fucking killed me when he married and had a child. We were at a convention about 2 years ago. He was so proud of me, praised my success repeatedly. He harbored no hard feelings, but I was livid. I missed him so much. Her eyes fill with big, bold tears, and I reach for her hand. I told him I was mad. Mad. The careers we both wanted broke us apart. He looked at me with sympathy when I told him I'd give it up to have him back. Holy shit. She nods and goes on. Well, he was stunned and also hurt. I'd left him, ventured into the world to make a new start. Then his wife walked up. She took one look at me and said, "He never let you go either." I was mortified and left the reception, never looking back. How could I be so selfish? He's married. Oh my God, I whisper. Yeah, I've replayed that moment 1,000 times in my mind. The way his eyes widened, looking over my shoulder. His back went straight, his shoulders squared, and he opened his mouth to interrupt, but there she was, hearing that his college lover basically wanted him back. What happened next? Henry called me 6 months later. He asked me to participate in think tanks with other professionals in the industry. He never mentioned that night again. Our relationship is professional now. For the last 1.5 years, I've consulted on a few things, but mostly dedicated my time to these summer programs. You never talked about what happened? Not really. Well, not really until he called me about you. He wanted you to talk to me about your failed relationship? No. He wanted me to talk to you about being in love and having it all. Nowadays, you don't have to choose. No matter what others may say, you're in control of your future. I know that. Her head shakes slowly. No, Devon, you don't understand. People are going to make you feel that certain choices are your only options if you want to succeed. That's not true. Your love and loyalty are going to be tested strongly. You make the decisions to guide your future. What are you saying? I'm saying if I could go back and retrace my steps, I'd have Henry along with me the whole way. He was and still is my other half. But I lost him. And I regret that loss every second of every day. Don't let that happen to you. If Bryce truly is your equivalent to Henry, don't ever lose him. My heart hurts thinking of a life without Bryce. It sounds silly since we're so young, but it's true. My family hasn't questioned it once because our bond is so strong. You mentioned all the good-looking men around us. I noticed, but they're nothing compared to Bryce in my eyes. Young love at its strongest, she says softly. The best kind. So, Professor Grant's a closet romantic? Who would have thought? I say after a few quiet seconds. Hell no. He has no idea I'm talking to you about us. He only wanted me to give you advice on what may lie ahead for you. It was me who decided to tell you about us. I've always admired you, but my respect is bursting at the seams. I'm going to give you my private number. You call me any time. I nod. For the record, I asked for you and Quinn, but I was told no. None of my usual methods of persuasion worked. Henry insisted you be on separate teams. Well, she'll be thrilled to know that, but I think Bill Thames has been a great mentor. He should be. He's one of the best. I smile widely and reach across the small space, grabbing her hand. Thank you, Shayna, for everything. You're welcome. I get up to leave and stop, remembering something from last semester. Shayna, did you know Professor Grant got a divorce last year? Her eyes glimmer as a sly smile crosses her face. I may have heard something about that. So nothing's standing in your way of going after what you want now. I will not confirm nor deny that I have business in Virginia for an indefinite amount of time. That business may or may not be focused around the University of Virginia. She winks coyly. You really are my idol. Remember that boss I told you about? She sat me down and had this similar conversation 2 months ago. As far as the network goes, my assignment is labeled classified. We both burst into laughter together. I'm really going to miss her. Chapter 9. Devon! My mom screams, waving wildly at me through the crowd. Michelle stands next to her, bouncing around. Quinn and I both pick up speed and run to them. The instant Mom's arms wrap around me, I sink into her. It's been an emotional 2 days, and the overwhelming urge to cry creeps up on me. Leaving Brazil was much harder than I imagined. My team bonded during the past 6 weeks. Even though we would share classes in the fall, it would be different. We agreed to keep in touch, especially as we prepared our final projects. Being around them 12 hours a day formed a closeness that can't be replicated with a few hours in class. The hardest part was saying goodbye to Shayna. She's staying for a few more days to cover a network-specific story before going to Virginia. I watched her closely when she said goodbye to everyone, including Professor Grant, as we piled onto the bus. To anyone else, it looked like a normal hug, but I saw the sadness in both their faces. Her glassy eyes caught mine, and I gave her a smile of encouragement. Quinn and I already decided that Shayna has the 5 weeks until school starts before we play matchmaker. I'm brought back to reality by my mom's voice. "You okay, honey?" "Yes. Glad to be home." She nods and links her arm through mine. As we make our way to the baggage claim area, she and Michelle fire questions at Quinn and me. Finally, we hand our phones to them to scroll through pictures as we watch for our bags. We eventually get to the car, where our dads are waiting curbside. My earlier emotions fade away at the excitement of being home. In my attempt to dodge Bryce and his family for that 1.5 years, I avoided coming home for extended periods of time. Now I have 2 whole weeks before going back to Charlottesville. Once we get to the house, the Jacksons leave, and Mom helps me lug all my stuff upstairs. As I unpack, I tell her about my conversation with Shayna. She's unusually quiet when I finish, staring at me blankly. "What's your take on it?" I ask. "There's a lot to think about. Sounds to me like she speaks from experience and saw a chance to share that with you." I've dissected it to death. To be honest, it scares me. I never thought I'd be asked to choose between Bryce and my career. Her face floods with concern. "Baby, if you marry Bryce, there is no choice. He's it. Have you two really talked about the future?" I nod and tell her about the conversation we had the night in my apartment, leaving out the sex. "Well, it sounds like you think you know what you're getting into, but he softened the blow. I'm going to tell you the truth. You may think you researched being a Navy wife, but the cold, hard facts are the Navy is going to dictate a lot of your life. Decisions will be made. That boy will turn himself in knots to make you happy, but some things can't be controlled. Your career will not be considered when the Navy makes their assignments. I'll have him, though. Yes, you will. And I think that may be what Shayna was saying. True love will win out over everything. She regrets losing it, even with all she's accomplished. Do you think I'm being naive? No, but I do think you've overlooked some very important issues. I knew in Aspen he was going to win you over. It was obvious to me that his future would include you. He broke your heart, but he also put it back together. Nate may say I see rainbows and unicorns, and he's right. When it comes to my children, I want you to be happy. Did I know you would be engaged in less than 6 months of dating? No, but it's not a surprise. Maybe it sets me apart from other moms, but being a young bride does not worry me. What does worry me is that you haven't thought about the impact it will take on your life. Mom, you're kind of freaking me out. Let me lay it out for you. 2 years ago, I sat in this very position, talking to you about changing the course of your life because of a broken heart. I told you then, and I'll repeat it now. My job is to make sure you're okay. You went to UVA with your sights set on your professional future. He was out of the picture completely. Now he's not. So you need to adjust your future. Do you think going to MFA school is a waste? That I'll never be able to completely pursue a career in photojournalism? Not at all. I think Shayna was telling you that you can have both, love and a career, and to not get lost in the hype of the industry. I lie down next to her, curling around her hip like a child. You're truly the best mom ever. And you are the best daughter. I have one more piece of advice. I'd advise against telling Bryce most of your conversation. That boy's already a bit high-strung when it comes to you. He wants to hand you the world, and he's questioning his own choices. It's your job to be strong and encouraging. When he was trying to get assigned to the base on Norfolk, Nate said he was freaked out. Sheila says she was scared for his sanity. I giggle and lean back, releasing her. He's sort of intense. Sort of? Pretty sure that's the only reason your dad gave him permission, or his blessing, to propose. We're both certain that man will worship you forever. Think Daddy will freak out if we get married before I go into the master's program? Why do you think I went ahead and got these? She reaches down the opposite side of my bed and lifts a stack of bridal magazines. I squeal and reach for them. Oh, yeah. This is going to be fun.
Students, welcome home. I must tell you once again that it was an absolute pleasure to lead this group to South America. There is no doubt that I grew as a person and professional from this experience. It has come to my attention that NBC, the official news network for the 2016 Summer Olympics, will begin coverage this Thursday. They will launch an entire series spotlighting almost every element of these games. From the construction of the venues, the determination of the athletes, and the economic impact. They will essentially be covering everything we spent the last 6 weeks researching. Unfortunately, this affects us tremendously. I've spoken to all senior members involved with the Summer Expo, and we must make some changes to your assignments. We are asking that you complete an outline and diagram for your final 2 papers by next Friday. We understand and sympathize that this timeline is extremely aggressive and cuts down 2 weeks of your original final assignment, but we feel we can safely protect the integrity of the work if not touched by outside influences. No one is insinuating that you would rely on news to complete your work, but this allows us the opportunity to send them to our sponsors, partners, and local affiliates to get the attention and appreciation you deserve. There will always be room for changes, but this will be your foundation. It was already discussed that we would run stories each week in the campus paper, but this is more for the benefit of the larger sources. If you have any trouble, please contact me or your team leaders. We are all here and willing to help. Also, we encourage you to work in tandem with your team and peers. This is the part of the program that speaks to your creativity and voice. Once again, I am available if you have questions. Sincerely, Professor Henry Grant. Holy shit. Holy shit, holy shit. I reread the email again and pick up my phone as it rings in my hand. There really is only one solution to this. We work together, Quinn states matter-of-factly. I agree. You coming here? Yes, you have the photo software. I'll fill in my parents and be there soon. See you then. I hang up and grab my camera, hooking it up to my computer. My phone rings again with an out-of-area number. Hello? Jesus, I missed hearing you. Bryce's hoarse voice flows through the line. Bryce, where have you been? We've been in lockdown. Didn't you get my text? 3 days ago, I screech. Has it been 3 days? Shit. He sounds exhausted. I'm sorry, that was uncalled for. I was worried. Me too. I haven't even showered yet. Needed to hear your voice. It's been a rough few days. Can you tell me about it? Not now. I don't even want to think about it. How was your trip home? What's going on? Besides missing you like crazy? 5.5 more weeks. I start to say something about that being too long, but decide against it. He doesn't need to worry. So instead I tell him about the going-away party, the trip home,
and the latest email about my projects.
Wow. Sounds like you're going to be busy.
And we have to be in Kentucky the first few days of August for NCAA cheerleading camp. This helps with our bid to nationals.
Is it co-ed?
Of course. He groans in the phone.
How much longer are you cheering?
As long as I can.
It almost killed me in Miami to watch those guys feeling all over you. Not sure how I'm going to get through football season.
He no longer sounds tired, but more pissed off. Are you really jealous of my teammates?
Yeah, thinking about petitioning the school to insist on shorts instead of skirts.
Bryce, don't you dare, I protest, knowing he would do it.
Maybe you could stop shaving your legs and washing your hair. Anything to keep the guys away.